I met a gypsy.
Righto, Shaun Whale from Full Drive 24/7 joins us on the podcast. I've been wanting to do this one with you for a while, so we're here, we're doing it.
Yeah, mate, I'm excited, and it's my first podcast too, so yeah, pretty excited about that as well.
I thought that you would have done more of these, being the big deal that you are in the Aussie 4x4 industry, but you're just flying under the radar and making your own content.
I'm usually at a reception, I think. That's what I'm going to put it down to.
Well, so I think there's probably been like 3 times I've reached out.
Yep.
And then I think all 3 times you were back in 2 weeks because you're up the Cape, you're in Northern Territory and somewhere else. So I was like, I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, no, it's good. And you guys are nice and local too, so it worked out perfect. So, no, it's good, man. Excited to be part of the podcast and have a bit of a chat. It'd be cool.
No, sweet. So the last trip you're up in Cape York, eh?
Yeah, just got back. Still drying the swag out at the moment.
How's that going? Yeah,
it was cool. It was a cool trip. Like, I've been to Cape York plenty of times, but we try and make it different every time we go up there. So this time, I took up an old, I call it the farm truck. It's an old 47 series from 1984. Shakes and rattles a hell of a lot. And we took it up there, and my mate Graham, he took an old G60, which was like the first of the patrols from like 1976 or whatever it is. And we just did 2 weeks driving those old cars around. So that was pretty epic. It keeps it exciting, you know.
So what's the route that you guys kind of went? On
this one, we did the telly track, which is probably the most iconic track up there, the old telly track. And we were, in luck, I suppose, this year because we had a really late wet season. So all the rivers are really, really deep, and there was heaps of water around. And we're in these old cars with no lockers, no lift, standard tyres, and just wheeling the piss out of them. It was so much fun. And then so after that we did the Frenchman's track, and then we did this like weird one that sort of joined up to the old Coach Road and did a bunch of like sort of new stuff we haven't done yet. So
that's a rough road, eh,
mate. You know what? It's my least favourite track probably in Australia, the old Coach Road.
That's my least favourite track on the way to the Cape.
Yeah, it's. I've done it like 4 times now, and I don't know. It doesn't.
It's just a kind of a road.
It is. It doesn't do any favours for me, especially driving like an older car. I was driving the Dirty 30, which is like a 60 series on an 80 series chassis, and so it's a pretty comfortable sort of rig, but still, it's just slow. It's tedious. It's dusty. And it's just there's no swimming holes. There's nothing worthwhile on that track really. There's a couple of hard bits, but that's about it.
There's so much history in that area though. Like when you get to Maytown, and then you've got all of the gold that come out of there, and there's still you hear stories of people that still live out there and are still like mining gold and probably growing.
I've met some of them. There's some crazy people behind those hills, man.
Just they're just like shooting at you as soon as you near them and shit.
Yeah. We got into this track, right, and we were behind the old Coach Road somewhere. And this, we've got access to get into this special spot, and there's a whole stack of leases. So one day we decided we'll camp down beside this like creek bed, and then these dudes had like followed our tyre tracks because they thought we were there to try and like fossick gold or whatever, and
especially down by the river and shit.
So they tracked us down. They couldn't believe their eyes when they saw us because they watched the show and stuff. So it was pretty cool. But they were saying they get heaps of people come in at night time. Like it's full on. Like the whole gold scene up there is wild. It still happens. From the 1800s like till now, it's just hasn't really stopped.
I grew up in Cairns, so I got like a little bit of knowledge around that area. But you used to hear some crazy stories, and it was a lot of Chinese were up there originally, and they were the ones that built a lot of the roads and a lot of the infrastructure up there, and you can still go through that at I guess it's like. Must be like Maytown, fucking town centre or whatever, where like they've got all the shacks and stuff.
Exactly.
If you kind of rummage through all there, you see a bunch of Chinese artifacts and shit.
It's mental. They had 30,000 people in the late sort of 1800s living there. They had like multitude of pubs. They had like hotels. They had convenience stores. Some of the milling equipment was like it's so massive that they carry it with like bullocks and cart from Melbourne, which took them 6 months to get it up there, like crazy stuff. Well, it puts it in perspective. You say, oh, I'm doing it tough on this old road. You think back to these dudes are doing it proper tough, like back in the day. Holy heck. Like.
We're actually going up there end of August. So it's good to know the conditions are good.
Yeah, still as dusty and rough as ever.
Well, we're going to ride bikes. So we ride bikes when we go up. I think we did it in 2019, and then we were going to do it last year, but COVID screwed it over, so it's been pushed back to this year.
Yeah.
But I think it's just it's just the up there. It's probably nostalgia from growing up there, but I just fucking love it up there, man. It's such sick. A special place.
It really is. This is my 11th time to Cape York now. This year. Yeah, and I'm still as passionate as the first time I was going up there. There's still heaps of new spots I haven't seen before, and I get a kick out of it every time I get up there. I sort of go a bit feral as well. I do a bit.
Share and
man, you swim when you can and all that sort of stuff. And like this year, I was lucky enough. I did the Northern Territory, and I spent a good 3.5 weeks in the Territory. I spent like 3.5 weeks in the Cape. So 7 weeks in the top end this year already. This is my first week of winter.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a culture shock.
Yeah, it's just such there's so much cool history up there, and I think the whole, I guess, Captain Cook and the impact that he made on that area and Cooktown. I think Cooktown's super underrated.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't know whether it ever kind of gets developed more than it is, but I mean, it's so beautiful in terms of
a sleepy little place.
Yeah, like where it is. I mean, I think we come the back way through from like Cohen.
Yep.
We rode and then ended up in Cooktown, and you kind of come through the back.
You got
a couple of causeways, and then you've kind of got this nice windy, I guess like range sort of road, and you can see the Cooktown Harbour, and it's just, man, there was me, my dad and my brother, and we were all on bikes, and we just had this massive slog to get there, and you just had this kind of epic scene revealed. I was like, fuck, this is one of the coolest things I've ever done on a bike.
It's a special place up there, and to be able to do a trip with your dad and brother and stuff like that's pretty wild. I got to book something in like that, I think, just to do
August,
no
mate.
Cameras.
August.
Yeah, there you go. I just got to learn how to ride a bike between now and then.
Can you ride?
Technically, yes, but no.
Yeah.
So, like, if I had to get home, there was no other means of transport.
You'd figure it out.
I'd sort of get home, and it'd be pretty ugly to watch. But I'm certainly not a rider, that's for sure.
It'd be sick to do. It's such a different way to see the Cape, because I guess that's probably would be one of the challenges for you with the content that you make, is like, we're doing a similar trip in a similar scenery. How do we make it look and feel different?
That would be cool. Like doing that, or taking like a side by side up there or something would be, that'd be loose, man. Like I speak to a lot, because I see a lot of dudes on bikes up there on tour groups and stuff every year. And those dudes so when we're filming, we take ages, man. Like every track we do, it takes about 10 times longer than average, but we take about 4 days to film the old telly track. And these guys, if you were with your family, you'd do it comfortably in 2 days, maybe 3 if you're taking your time, right? These dudes on bikes are doing it in half a day.
Oh, yeah.
They're in and out, and they'll do that, and the Frenchman's in a day, and you're like, that's 2 weeks of my life to do that.
Yeah, right? Really? Yeah, well, that's pretty much what we do. Like, we'll do the telly track in the morning. So I think we'll... do we leave from Moreton Station and then start, I think we're Moreton Station and then start the telly track?
Yeah, so you've still got like 100 Ks before you even get to the telly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was heaps of roadworks last time that we were there right before that section, or maybe it was right after. And it was the most epic thing ever, because it's fully graded road.
Yeah.
And it had that nice little bit of thick sort of topsoil. It wasn't bull dust yet and corrugation. Right. And man, we were just all ripping the bikes just wide open down these roads. It was so much fun.
I can only dream of stuff when I'm driving an old farm truck. Like, when you get a tailwind, you're lucky to get 80 clicks an hour.
Yeah, well, man, we're probably doing like maybe 140 for,
really?
Yeah, for like a fair kind of
wow. The roads up there, I've got to say, like this year in particular, are so nice. It's changed so much. I've been going only for 10, 11 years now, but there's so much bitumen now. You'll be shocked even just going up this year. Between last year and this year is a huge difference.
Yeah,
there's so
much
probably
more that
bitumen.
kind of area.
Yeah, well, still that bit's all dirt, like up towards Bramwell and stuff. Like that's all sort of dirt, but there's just big portions of bitumen everywhere now. Yeah, which is good for the locals. I mean, that's their road they use every day. You know what I mean? But for us, it's sort of changing the nature of Cape York a little bit.
Yeah, well, and I guess it probably just puts more of a emphasis on going through stations and trying to get good access to different places so that you kind of can avoid the main roads. But it sounds like that trip was fairly similar to what we do. Like I think we'll do Coach Road first day, get to Laura, and then from Laura we ride through. There's like an Aboriginal. I guess it's like Aboriginal land that you go through to get to Cohen, and then up through there, and then you do like Teletrack, and then Frenchman's, and but I think that's a pretty similar ride to what we do. But it's cool. So much fun, man.
On a bike, that'd be an eye opener for me. I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it one day.
You should try it.
Yeah.
We should get you out just to go for like a bit of a ride, because I mean, it's not like that gnarly to do. Like if you can. You've driven the tracks. Like it's not like you're sending it the whole time. Like,
no, that's right.
You kind of got I think we've probably got 20 riders going this year, or close to 20 riders.
Yeah, wow.
And, all different kind of skill levels and stuff. So it'd be a pretty epic adventure for you.
I've seen the dudes, they're just having so much fun. They're covered in red dust and they're just loving it. They pull up at the Exchange Hotel in Cohen for the night. A few beers had by all sort of thing.
The Mullies that own the pub in Cohen, they actually were the president, like that. The Mully family was like president of the Brothers Leagues football club in Cairns when I was a kid. So even for us, we go up there and those guys, we've known them since we were like 3 years old. It's just a crazy, cool
love that
place.
I've had so many big nights at that. We call it the Crab Trap, the Exchange Hotels. Once you get in, you just can't get out. You're stuck there all night.
Dude, we were there the last time that we were there. Sleepy night at like anything else, and then we had our feed, and then we walked down the back and we like camped down the back under the mango trees, and then at 8 o'clock everyone's in bed, 8:30, and then all of a sudden we hear some karaoke, and then we're like, all right, fair enough, there's like a random karaoke deal going on. Couple hours later, full fucking DJ set.
Yeah, there you go.
We get up.
Wouldn't surprise
me.
And
the place is heaving. Like it went from just outback country pub to fucking full Ibiza, outback Ibiza in a matter of 3 hours.
That can happen. Yeah. Good. I love that place. I've had so many memorable times because Cohen's like a bit of a spot for us where we sort of maybe regroup in between like filming up there and stuff, so we usually turn one on when we get to Cohen.
Yeah, it's like that point in the trip where you kind of need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what's a trip like that look like in terms of production? Because I mean, we're going to be filming that trip.
Cool.
Ours is probably a lot more run and gun though, like a lot less setup stuff, just because we're going with so many people, so it'd be more like kind of vloggy style.
Yeah.
But you guys are going specifically with the intent to film. Yeah. So like, what's that look like these days?
Yeah, like, I suppose it's the same. Doesn't matter where we go really. We sort of we're pretty casual about it all. I mean, a lot of people think we get told where to go, and then a helicopter flies us out at the end of the day. We sleep in a hotel or whatever. No, it's not the case. We literally, some of our best ideas have come up when we're on another trip. We might be at an outback pub or something like that. We'll come up with a bunch of ideas of where we want to go, because at the end of the day, for Graham, myself, the other presenters on the trip, if we're excited about a location, we're going to be a lot more passionate and want to do it. So we pretty much decide where we're going to go and how we're going to drive, what angle. Like for this year, it was taking the old trucks up, a Nissan versus Toyota thing, and we were pretty passionate about that. Toyota won as well, bit of a let you know. Exactly, let you know, mate. The old Nissan. No, she did well, actually, that old truck. But something we're passionate about. And then we start the planning process. I guess with Cape York, we've done it so many times. We have like a camera car, like a dedicated vehicle that's usually up the front. We got 3 crew in our production crew that are on the road, like a producer who's also probably camera A, camera B, photographer / social media sort of dude, and that's pretty much it. And then we're a little bit bare bones, and then we just the way we sort of set it all up. Those guys, they're pretty professional. They're good at what they do. They keep us in line as well. Without them, would be hopeless.
And are they like an in-house team that you've built from the ground up?
Yeah. So we've got our crew, which is it's probably the lifeblood of what we do. Like our team is. They're so passionate about what goes on, like with the filming side of things as well. And they just, these dudes are like, and when I say that, I mean this in a literal sense. I'm not exaggerating here, but they'll be up getting sunrise shots, not just for one day because it's a bit of a novelty. Every single day for 3 weeks, they'll be getting shots of you getting out of your swag, putting your shoes on in the morning, so they're sitting around with a camera from about 6 o'clock onwards.
Yeah,
we film all day. They're always run up and down mountains, wading through river crossings and stuff like that. And so they work all day. Then we get to a campsite in the evening. We might film the campsite. We might do a cooking scene or something like that. And then these dudes will, when we finish that, it might be like 9, 10 o'clock at night. We're buggered. We're sitting down outside of your campfire having a few beers. Those dudes go and back footage up for another hour or two.
Yeah.
And then they do it all again the next day. They're insane. You can't do that unless you're passionate about what you do, eh?
Yeah, no, it's a gnarly lifestyle. That filmer lifestyle.
Oh, it is, man. And people can't cut it. It seems like the best job in the world, and it is. I can tell you that. But the reality is, it's a lot of hard work. These dudes are. They're working so bloody hard when we're out in the field. I shouldn't say that in case they're listening, because they'll get a big head. But no, it's true. They're very passionate, and the team we have, we couldn't do our trips without the team. Everyone is solid through the whole team. We've done some really tough ones before, which I mean tough in the sense that you might be off the grid for 20 nights, living in a swag. 35, 40 degree heat every day, mosquitoes, everything's wet because you've been going through river crossings, and you're living like that for 20 days, out in the scrub, no reception, working out of a car with 3 blokes out of a camera car. It's
dusting everywhere.
Yeah, you gotta be a certain kind of person to survive doing that sort of stuff, because it's easier for me and Graham. We've got our own rigs. We can sort of just jump in our own car and get a bit of time out. But these dudes are just going full stop.
But it wasn't like that always, though.
Not really. Not really. I guess. Yeah. We started off bare bones. When we started off in magazines before we didn't even do.
Yeah. So how long have you been in the game, really? If you put a number on your first entrance into the media world or content world.
I guess almost from day dot. I guess I sort of joined the off-road industry at about 20, 21, and I'm like 37 now, so for a fair time. I've been doing it for a long time, before social media, before YouTube was really a thing. And we were just doing a print magazine back in the day, and then we started. It's quite an interesting story. A lot of people don't really remember, because they don't remember 15 years ago buying print mags, but that was the thing back in the day. And we had this magazine called Full Drive Monthly. It was called when I first started. And then we changed to Full Drive Action, and we were doing 17 issues of a 300 plus page magazine a year.
Wow.
So and then we bolted on DVDs. So we were actually doing VHSs back in the day. But then we bolted on DVDs, which were these trips. Is essentially the blueprint of what we're doing now. But back then we had one cameraman. He was camera A, camera B, producer, editor.
Yeah, just he was the deal.
He was the dude. And then there would be one person in front of the camera, or maybe 2 or 3, and you'd just go and do a trip. And it was pretty bare bones. It was awesome, actually. That's how we sort of first cut our teeth doing that sort of stuff. And then the DVDs became probably more popular than the magazine. People were buying the mag
for the DVD.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah. So, and that was pretty cool. And I tried to get myself on the DVDs just for the point of view that I didn't want to be stuck in an office. I thought, how good's this? Imagine getting paid to go to Cape York or these cool places. So, I had a crack doing that, and it was only because I sort of was never destined for that sort of thing. I was doing a lot of publishing stuff. I was, I guess, probably more useful in the office doing the publishing side, making magazines sell. That was my background, and but I just loved the lifestyle, and I just kept, when there was an opportunity, like someone pulled out or something like that, I put my hand up, I'm out, and then I ended up sort of transitioning from publishing and office bound stuff into I guess trips and doing this full time. That's
so sick. So what were you doing 19, 20, like you said you joined at 21? What was those kind of years like after school? And did you have because crazy similarities in our story. I left Cairns when I was 18, moved to Melbourne to work for a magazine, and I was writing, and then it was really similar in motocross. The motocross DVDs on the front of the magazines were so popular.
There you go.
And I ended up quitting the magazine that I worked for, I just really didn't like the guy that ran the magazine, just butted heads. And it was probably 2007, I want to say. Yeah. And I started a blog, like a motocross blog. There was just none of them. There was one in Australia, but it was more of a forum. It wasn't content.
Forums used to be big.
Yeah. So it was a huge forum. It's still up now, full noise.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I want to do a website, but I want it to be content. I don't want a forum. And there was no websites that didn't have forums. So I was like, just content, and I want to do that. And then instead of doing the magazine DVDs, I'll just do the DVD. Like, I'll put the content online. And I think I had Vimeo because YouTube wasn't even really.
I remember Vimeo.
Yeah. So that wasn't even really kind of doing its thing. So yeah, I mean, same, like very, very similar story.
Very similar.
And I think I'm 34 this year, so we're even similar age.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you'll get these grey hairs soon, mate. They come like in the last like 3 or 4 years. I reckon they just sprouted all.
I reckon it's when you get staff. Sorry, Ryan. as soon as you get staff, I reckon the grey hairs come.
It happens
because Matty's got a fucking full head.
Yeah, it happens so quick. I look back at even photos of me from like 2 years ago, and I'll just go, holy heck, I've aged, Not like a good bottle of wine either, just
not like Clooney age.
No, not
like
quite.
Age.
Just age proper, just wetted.
That's so good.
But look, we've got a very similar story. Before I got into magazines, like I'd always had an interest in media, I suppose. So I studied journalism, and that's quite a rare thing, especially in the magazine world, because magazines don't look for journalists. Like, they look for passionate enthusiasts.
Like contributors.
Yeah, like, I studied journalism. I actually I didn't drop out. I just stopped going, really, after about 2 years. I ended up picking it back up 5 years later, right, and finishing the degree just cause it.
Yeah.
The degree, I guess, what I'm saying, it didn't really help me get into the space. It was, passion. Being an enthusiast was what was all about. And but before that, man, I was working at a bar. I was a labourer for a builder and driving tip trucks. So I was working 3 jobs and doing a bit of uni on the side, sort of thing. And then just passionate about. So fishing was I used to love spearfishing, fishing. I still do, man. I love it. It's
most of your Instagram.
Yeah, I just froth. I don't care as well. I know I'm four-wheel driver, but I love fishing, man. Yeah. That's what it's about. And that's how I got into four-wheel driving, because
you have to get to the spot to get the fish.
Exactly, man. The further you can go off-road or where the other people don't go, probably the better fishing. So I bought, my first car when I was 16, 17 was a little Suzuki Sierra four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And I just started four-wheel driving to go to spearfish off different headlands that, more remote the better. So harder the track to get in, less people. Yeah. And that's how I started four-wheel driving. So I've always been into four-wheel driving, but as a means to go fishing or whatever. And then, you when you're driving tip trucks and stuff like that, you want to be in media, not driving tip trucks for your whole life. So I was like, okay, I want a writing job. I want to get into print media. And I applied for 3 jobs, I remember. One was Hot Fours magazine. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Hot Fours mag. It was just a car mag. Yeah. I had no real experience with hotted cars. I drove a Suzuki Sierra, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I applied for that one. They said, no, you got no experience, which is fair enough. Good call. I applied for a finance magazine, right? Again, I had no idea about finance, right? And then I applied for Four Wheel Drive Monthly, 3 magazines. So Four Wheel Drive Monthly never got back to me right at the get-go, and I got offered this job at this finance mag. So I'm working Mortgage Professional Australia, I think it was called. It was a mortgage magazine where the audience is mortgage brokers. And you got to imagine.
Unreal.
Yeah, so here I am, like working on roofs and, carrying bits of cement and stuff like that, and then driving tip trucks, working at a bar. Not exactly got heaps of experience in finance. I did that for like 8 months. And then I got this call out of the blue saying, hey, you should come in for an interview with the Four Wheel Drive magazine. And I was like, I felt really bad because I'd just been offered this job. And the dude, like the editor at the time, took a bit of a, used out the limb. A bit of a risk putting me on, because I didn't, and I learned a lot in 6-8 months or whatever. And I sort of I declined the Four Wheel Drive job. And
really?
Yeah, because I felt bad and it wasn't sitting with me right. And luckily, and I'm still working with this guy today, Glenn. He kept hassling me basically to come in for an interview, and I was like, I got to do it. And the kicker was, right, so it doesn't sound like a crazy thing at the time, but I was earning about 38 grand a year doing the finance mag, and I think the job offer was for 30 grand to go to the Four Wheel Drive mag. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but at that time, I was like, that's a pretty big pay reduction. But I went, you know what, fuck it. I'm passionate about four-wheel drives. I'm going to jump into this, you know, and then I did. And then that was, I was like 21 and, been in the game since. It's
funny. I mean, I use the word luck in a weird way because in some sense, I think all of life is luck, just purely based on the fact that you don't pick your parents, you don't pick where you grew up, you don't pick any of the economic times, the peace, you know what I mean, like the status of your country. That there's so much shit that you kind of don't pick throughout your life, and you kind of just, you're almost like shot out of a cannon, and then you're just fucking doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess there is just really good luck in the sense that you're who you were and around the people that you were and that you had the interest. But there's also something to be said about like the way that you make luck for yourself and the way that you can kind of influence the way that luck unfolds throughout your life. And I mean, if you look back, and I feel the exact same way. I'm like, man, I still to this day, when I bought a camera, my first camera, I had no fucking experience. Like, we didn't even own a camera as a family. Like, I don't really have that many photos as a kid. We'd never had a video, like none of that shit.
Yeah, why?
And I got into it, and that was the thing that set my whole life in motion. And it's a similar sort of thing, you know, like you can't help but feel lucky in a sense that you find something that really young that you can really build a foundation, like really pour your life into.
For sure. Like, I think back, like, what if I, you know, was so worried about what I was earning at the time that I didn't take the punt on the Four-Wheel Drive magazine. Like, could I see myself as
what's $8,000?
Yeah, now. But at the time it was a hell of a lot. Like, you know, that means there was a lot less beer money, and you know, rent wasn't cheap when I was a kid. And but at the time I went with my gut, and I've always sort of done that as well. Just go with your gut, and it sort of works itself out in a weird way. Like, I'm so stoked because I reckon I'd be Australia's worst finance journalist if I was doing that stuff right now. You know what I mean? But no, it was good, and like, I wasn't even when I got employed by the magazine, I wasn't even a journalist. And mind you, I'd been studying journalism, and that's what I wanted to be. So I was washing cars, doing errands. You know, it was a bit of a step back in sort of your media career per se. But I was like, fuck it. If I'd rather wash a car than write about finance, or I'd rather do something I'm passionate about. And that's sort of, I've stuck with that my whole life. If I'm passionate about something, I'll give it everything. If I'm not,
it's hard to.
Yeah, it's hard work. So so that's that was, you know, that was one of the best decisions I ever made. And we're just in the print game, and then I was doing new car reviews and doing some really cool stuff back in print media. It was really fun.
And you said before you always were interested in like media and content. Do you ever think about why that was?
I think because it offered so much variety of your day job. Like if you're a news journalist, you're out covering a whole different heap of things. You never got 2 days the same. And I was thinking, like, I guess, you know, it'd be cool to like go on assignments, do things, travel, do all this sort of stuff at work rather than sitting in an office and staring out a window all day. Yeah. That's where I guess my motivation was, just to do something you're really passionate about. Like that, for me, that's where it's at.
And did that kind of transition over time as you started creating more, like, I guess, things people enjoy? Because that's sort of how I feel about this job, and I guess what I always did is I loved consuming content as a kid, because I was kind of right in the internet age, but it wasn't social media, so the internet wasn't scrolling back then. It was like looking for things you really wanted to see, and the way that like the interest, and for me it was motocross and supercross, so I used to just dive in and just try and find clips of pros riding. It was like this, I don't know, there was something so cool about finding content that you really related to, and then maybe the fact that we live so far away from all of that. But for me, even now to this day, I mean, I spent like 5 hours yesterday like fucking with a 4-minute edit that we're putting out of our Europe trip, and I'm like, I love making things that other people enjoy, and then the podcast is natural for that too. You know, you put something out, it's 3 hours out of our time, and you know, it gets listened to by hundreds of thousands of people, and they all really like the thing that you've made. There's something really cool to that.
It's satisfying, isn't it? Like when you do put some cool content out that resonates with people. the cool thing is I get to go to heaps of four-wheel drive shows, and I get to not just see the comments, on YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff, but I see real people. And when people come up to you and say, there's so many stories, but like people, might be fighting depression, say, and say, man, I was in a dark place and I watched a heap of your videos. They're so much fun. It got me into four-wheel driving, and it was the best thing for me, blah, blah. Or, they've reconnected with their kid because you're taking them out camping, four-wheel driving. You think, holy shit, it's
actually special.
It's doing something more than just, it's not just a job. Like, people are really getting into this content, and that means a hell of a lot when it changes people's lives, and they thank you. They're like so appreciative because it's helped them do something that they really enjoy. It's given them a passion or something,
Was it a weird transition point in a sense when it got to that level? Because, like, for me, it was probably like maybe 3 years in when it really started to do good, and I was getting like a lot of that feedback, but then I was also getting a lot more from like personally, and then it was like a real weird feeling. Like I almost didn't really feel worthy of like the way that people would say those, those sorts of stories, and then the things that you'd get offered and the trips you'd get to, like, I actually started feeling a little bit kind of like weird about it. But then, mate, I don't know, there's like a weird rationale that you've got to kind of come to grips with maybe in your own mind a little bit. Because I was just like, look, I feel genuine about what I'm doing, and I love that people get something out of this, and I guess a benefit of that is it gets reciprocated. Like, it was just a real weird thing to juggle for a while.
I think you've got similar motivations to me. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to put cool content out. You're not looking for the fame or the accolades that go with that. That's always been where I've been from. I couldn't care less if no one watched what I did. I really couldn't, because I'm so passionate about doing what I do that
you do it anyway.
Unfortunately, I need people to watch what I do, because otherwise I don't have a job doing it. It's a bit of a catch-22, right?
Yeah.
But some people get into this game because they're seeking that fame. They wouldn't give a shit if they're doing a gardening magazine, a cricket show, or how to do 10
and you
pin
would have
bowling.
met those people.
Too many of them.
Weird, eh?
Too many of them, and they're what can I get for free for my car? Or everyone can get an Insta page these days, and some of the motivations, I guess, are just a little bit obscure, and that's the wrong reason probably to get into media. I think if you're genuine about making cool content, you're passionate yourself, that will come through probably more so than just wanting to be in front of a camera. You know what I mean? I couldn't care less about that side of it. I wish our trips weren't filmed, to be honest, because I'd have way more fun. Absolutely. I get away with doing heaps more stuff, but that's
not the economics of it.
No, unfortunately, we've got to film what we do, and we've got sponsors and stuff now, so it's changed a little bit in how we do it, but we're still passionate about it, which is why we keep doing it.
It's funny, my biggest fear for so long was I was like, man, I just so badly hope that people don't think that this is an ego thing and this is like a fame project, and I was so worried about it for literally, I reckon, the first 3 years. It actually really held me back mentally for a bunch of different stuff. And I actually had to really like let go of that, and then I was just sitting in here one day, and I was thinking about the fact of not wanting to have an ego is probably like the highest form of ego. And then I had that rationale, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this whole fucking ego talk is just pointless. Like, why the fuck do you care? Just do what you do.
Exactly. You got to put that out of your head. You got to do it, because otherwise you'll worry too much. You won't get out of bed in the morning. I mean, I try and ignore that sort of stuff, but I put stuff in front of the camera, and you'll probably see, like, I pop up a lot on Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. But like, even with my own social media, I post once every 3 weeks or whatever, an occasional story. I hate putting myself out there, believe it or not, because I don't feel comfortable. I feel like, no one wants to hear what I've got to say. Shit, man. Like, the only reason you see so much is because people tell me, you've got to do this, mate. You've got to, here they chuck a camera in front of you, and you would do a bit of social media stuff and all the rest of it. But if I didn't have like producers and people pushing me in that stuff, you wouldn't hear from me really. Those guys keep me on track. But I know what you mean. It's sometimes you don't want to be that person who's just in front of their phone all day, just giving an update on what you had for breakfast and all that crap. That's some of these guys have got massive egos and they think everyone gives a shit about what they're up to on a constant basis.
And then the weird thing, and I think because we do a lot of trips as well, and we film. We've started doing a little bit more, but for us it's more like races and shit. Like we'll go away for a race and we'll film the crew, and I try and get some cool people together, and do it. But it's just like it's almost like I just want to be in the real world. Like I don't want to be in internet land all the time, because this is a real conversation, and we're in the room together and it's a thing. But it's like after this, the next time people will see this forever is just online. And it's like I could stay in this room, and it's probably for business. If I did a podcast every single day and was in this room, then I would do way better financially. Like the trips and everything, it sort of makes us go backwards in a sense. Yeah. But there's a part of me that is like, you've got to be a real person. Like you have to do shit in the real world, because you end up like that internet guy that you described. And you just, because the internet is just a fucking weird place to exist, and to like put yourself on the internet. And a personal Instagram, you feel like for an average person that isn't making content for a living, you might have an Instagram, so you've got a sort of a sense of what it is. But once you get up into the 20 million, 30 million, 40 million views on, you know, all different platforms, there's a weird version of you out there. That's like it becomes like, it is like a weird thing to kind of rationalize, you know. And for me, that's why I'm like doing these trips. At least you're out being a real person, and you're actually, like you described, of the not getting a shower and it's fucking hot and there's mozzies, and you know, like we're in France packed into a Airbnb that I fucked up the booking, and there's only one bed of 3 people, and you know, like that makes you feel a little bit more connected to like the real world in a sense.
100%, man. I think that's important. I think you just, you know, you talk about not everything's a business decision. Some things you just got to do.
That's probably a good way of looking at it.
It's sometimes you just do it because it's fun, and the more fun you can have with what you do, that's winning the game at the end of the day. Like I want to do like heaps more content as well, and I know it's not going to make us. In fact, it'll cost us money. So some of the content I want to do, it'll go backwards. People might not enjoy it, but fuck it, I love it, and that keeps me motivated. And what I'm talking about is nothing crazy. I just mean I want to do a bit more fishing and stuff like that. I'd love to take a camera on some of my personal trips, because I do a lot of stuff that's not filmed for YouTube and all the rest of it, which is a bit more real and just taking a boat up in the top end and fishing out, in a small creek, or just doing some crazy things that we do for the sake of fun. Yeah. And it'd be sometimes cool to maybe make some content around that rather than just what people see. And I know we have an enthusiast four-wheel drive audience. They want to see four-wheel drive, and they don't want to see me pull barra out of a creek or something like that. They're pretty strict on what they want to see. Yeah.
That's kind of a weird problem with just the internet in general at the moment. And it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts. I think it's going to go away pretty soon. Like I think
the internet, or
no, like I guess I should explain the point first. But the way that, because we're the same in terms of it's just like dirt bikes. If we do our YouTube channel pops off if we've got the biggest guys in motocross. Like that's what we do. That's what people give a fuck about. You can put a clip up that gets 200,000 views. I post something else that's non-related. It'll get 2,000. It doesn't matter how many subscribers. Your audience is your audience. They want to watch what they want to watch. And I feel like for me, looking at the way that the internet's kind of gone down in a content form since when we started, there was no algorithms. There was no, you could get millions of followers on Instagram just by being consistent, posting good content. Like there was help there in a sense. And then the Google AdSense come in, the Facebook ads come in, and it was fully pay to play. And then everyone is, I don't even know if the average Instagram viewer or social media or YouTube like audience that people listen to this understand how gnarly the algorithms are and the way that you get funneled into a box. And I just think we're like at the peak of that, and I think it's probably that style of shit is going to start going down. I think that creators are going to start moving towards their own platforms a bit more, living within their own ecosystem, and then the type of content that you're talking about will be so much easier for you to personally make because you're not going to see 10 of 10 at your YouTube analytics, you know?
Yeah, I wish I got onto YouTube probably 5 years before I did.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the guys that got on board early really made the most of it and got some massive audiences in that time. It's a lot harder probably these days.
Way harder.
It is. We've noticed it. We're still growing, which is good to see. The good news about our particular niche, I suppose you'd say, is not heaps of people are doing it.
Yeah.
Not to the level we're doing it. So we're getting some great growth, but yeah, it's not like it was probably 5-7 years ago.
Yeah.
People were just putting anything up on YouTube, it seemed, and getting huge subscribers and views and all that sort of jazz. But yeah, I don't know too much about the algorithms. I certainly know, like, going back to what I was saying before, if I put a fishing photo up on my Instagram, it gets about 1/4 of the likes.
Yeah.
I don't really care though. It's me. I enjoy fishing. I'm not going to apologise for it. I know I could, if I wanted to grow my audience and all that sort of crap, I could just really put a heap of more car stuff up and four-wheel drive stuff. But I find myself when I'm working on a four-wheel drive or driving, I'm too busy in the moment.
Doing it, yeah.
I'm doing it, and here's a classic example. I was in Cape York for 3 weeks, and I think I took maybe 2 photos.
Yeah.
And probably one of those is at least one I can't put on social media.
Yeah.
And that was it. And because I was just in the moment,
yeah.
I'm there doing it. And luckily for us, we've got people around taking footage and stuff like that. But I'm just hopeless by myself. I get too excited, too involved in what I'm doing, and I never ever take photos.
It's probably the way to be, though.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be good to have more than probably one thing a month go up on Instagram or whatever. But that's just how it is, I suppose.
You probably feel though. You feel as though you're probably already bombarding people as it is.
It's definitely on the bigger pages like the Full Drive 24/7 one. That, like, there's a lot of commercial stuff. Obviously, it's a business, and a lot goes on through that page, and it's got a huge following as well, way bigger than my personal following. Which, because it's active, it's always in front of people. A good mixture of like editorial stuff as well as commercial, and but that's there's people who are employed to make sure that works really well, and they're doing a great job of it. They're always posting, which is cool. Did
it take you a while or was it a real slow growth of becoming, I guess, an internet personality in a sense? Was it something that it was like, bang, you're like, holy fuck, everyone knows who I am, I can't go to a four-wheel drive track without seeing something, like, or was it real slow to where you kind of got time to adapt to it? Or
it was overnight.
Really?
It really was, because you got to keep in mind.
That's bizarre. That would be weird to do it.
It is, in a way, because, okay, I'm in this magazine. We're doing DVD. So the second we started, like, I've been a print journalist for, let's call it 5-6 years. I'd write 30,000 words an issue. Like, I'd write a heap of stuff. No one knew who I was. No one reads, this story's from Shaun Whale. They just read the story and all the rest of it. I went on my first DVD, which was packaged with the magazine. All of a sudden, people knew who I was from the first DVD. And you got to... Our magazine wasn't huge when you talk about internet numbers, but at the time, we were selling 50,000 copies.
So that's like every four-wheel driver in Australia.
Yeah, at the time sort of thing. And I thought there's a massive audience, right? And it was. It was the number one men's magazine at one stage. Bigger than Men's Health. Bigger than Street Machine. Like, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. And that's the top of the magazine game, right? And we talk about 50,000 views, say, these days. That's not that many.
Nothing, yeah.
And anyway... I'd been on DVDs for now 3 or 4 years, and I remember the day when we went to YouTube. Within 2 episodes landing on YouTube, people will recognise me in like Woolies and stuff like that, and I was like, it hit me hard, because I was pretty much undetected unless I was on a track or driving in Cape York, or I'm out the back of Newcastle in the Wadigans or something. Of course, people who are passionate, they're going to know
in your area.
Yeah, they're going to know who I am, but not at Woolies. Like, that was weird. And I remember the YouTube. As soon as we crossed to YouTube, that was it. There was, people started mainstream knowing what we do and all the rest, which was bizarre.
So what was the road to get to YouTube then?
It was just basically, okay, well, the magazine was going to shut down. I didn't own the magazine. It was owned by a publishing company. He's a very clever businessman, this bloke, and he basically realised that the future was in retail, not in publishing. He had 50-odd magazines, right? He was quite a big deal in the publishing game. And advertising money was getting harder, as well as distribution of print magazines. So they weren't getting on the shelves. You know, a newsagent gets more money for lottery tickets and lollies and pens and shit than the magazine. Magazine takes up a bit of room, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the distribution was getting harder. Even the fact we were at the top of our game and our sales were going down, not due to the popularity, because we couldn't get it. We couldn't sell as many as, you know, as we wanted to, because distribution was getting cut. And he made the decision pretty much, I'm going to go into products and I'm going to cut all magazines. And so the writing on the wall it was there for my job. I knew that I had an expiry date, and my print life had basically come to an end. I could go and work in a retail store. I could go and do corporate-y sort of stuff. And I thought, fuck that. I said, there's still a huge...
you're pumping.
Well, there's a huge interest in media. It's just you got to be on the right platform. And at the time, I was like, YouTube, because we never understood how to take something from print magazine to like YouTube and make money. Like, you know, magazines are easy. You sell print ads, you sell. There's a whole heap of things.
Here's the words. Here's the photos.
Correct, and you got a nice little balance of commercial and editorial that go together. People buy the content, so there's an income stream, right? Going to YouTube, I couldn't see it. We couldn't see it for years, and we're probably a bit late to adopt it, to be honest. But when we did, we figured it out, and it was the best movie ever made, to be honest. It made those magazine numbers look so insignificant.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because you know the impact.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we've been able to do a lot, not just obviously for, you know, getting fans and stuff like that and getting heaps of views, but we've helped so many businesses out along the way. You know, they've been associated with us. So we've been able to get a lot of exposure. Last year we got 51 million views. Like for the year on YouTube, which is pretty crazy just for YouTube. Like that's loose, and you never get that in the print game. Like you know, like I said, 50,000. We were at the top of the game, the best men's magazine in the country at the time. So there's some crazy numbers. And then the internet, you know, and those numbers are still small compared to some channels. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like hundreds of millions. Like some of these guys, you know, I should get into computer games. Some of those dudes are doing computer game stuff like.
Dude, do you follow Mr. Beast?
I know of Mr. Beast, and I've just listened to a podcast recently with him.
He's the man, dude.
Really is. Like, I guess I've never been that technical about YouTube, and hearing from that dude,
there's a few cool people, like a few cool creators and stuff I could probably put you onto. It's like one of my... It's pretty much just been a lifelong obsession, really, since I started working, of just that whole world. But there's some crazy people making some crazy money out of content shit. Just reaching so many people.
It's a whole nother level compared to what we're doing. We have... Our content is so different to so many things on YouTube. I mean... Like we've got almost feature films going up on YouTube, you know, and not many people are going to the time and effort, production values, that sort of stuff. We love it. And you look at we actually spoke to someone from YouTube the other day. It was the first time ever. Cool. And we've never, believe it or not, our business is based around YouTube. We've never spoken to anyone.
That's one of the weird things about being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Is you got no accent. They're this weird middleman in between your entire fucking life.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you've got 20 staff, you're uploading videos, or you're doing it in your bedroom and you've just uploaded something from your phone. It's the same process, right? And anyway, we're talking to this person at YouTube, and they pointed out a couple of things that's like very different with our channel compared to most content providers. So one of the things is we've got I think it's like 68% Aussie audience, which is unheard of. Most of the bigger channels, American is where it's at. They're getting lots of numbers over there. We've got about 15% American, so that's our second biggest audience, and something we'll probably try and pursue a bit later. But it was insane that and most people watch YouTube on their mobile phone, right? And I do the same. But with our channel, I think it's like 70% of people watch it on telly.
On their TV.
Yeah, which is crazy. And that's probably because of the production values, I suppose. It's cool to see, though. We're creating something that's a little bit different. It's not the normal trend on YouTube. It's not like cheap thrills or something. It's a lot of effort and resources go into making the shows. Sometimes we do. But it's cool. It's when, people making the effort to watch it on telly, which is, I think, pretty cool. There must be, getting their kids involved and watching it together as a family. That's happening. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
well, I mean, that's probably the thing that I found the most interesting about your content. After Maddie, after the Can-Am shoot that you're on with Maddie, and he told me, I went and searched your channel. The one that I watched that I fucking loved was the when you went through what's it called? The Bulgari track.
Bulgari track in the Kimberley.
Yeah, man, that was fucking brilliant, eh?
That's, man, it's
I
hard.
actually pitched to Ducati. I sent that video to Ducati because they've got this new desert bike coming out. And they want me to shoot a like a doco kind of thing of like doing a track on that Ducati. And I was like, I want to go there. Send them that. Send the Italians that fucking video.
Yeah, there's nothing better. That is a, you know,
it looked like a proper trip.
It is, man. It is. It was so sick. Everything that happened on that trip was just so good. Well, early season. Even our guide Ronnie, his country all up through there, and he had some car issues, had to go home, and sort of left us to our own devices up there. It's like, for those, I guess, that are listening at trying to understand what the hell's an Bulgari track. It's up in the Kimberley, right? And it's about 550, 600 Ks of low range. There's no track like it. You speak to people overseas, and like that's several countries sometimes overseas, right? Going that far, and this is one low range track where, you know, different on a bike, but in a car. I remember like day 4 or 5, I hit 30 Ks an hour, and that was my top speed after 4 days. It's that slow, that rocky, that gnarly, and we literally did not know if we're going to make it through. And I think that was half the excitement.
That come across in the film.
Yeah, it was just like we just go proper feral. Like when we were doing a trip like that, like, you know, we had the sickest crew. Like everyone who came on that trip, I don't think I could have done that trip without the crew that were on that particular one, because like the times were tough, and like some days would make 500 meters for a whole day of driving, and you think like, fuck, like that, you know, that can get you down. Slog. Yeah, and it's hard going, and then something breaks, or you do a tire or something like that, and you're like, and then we started getting to the point where we're running out of tires real quick too, and we're like, fuck, we might be stranded here, properly, like. But we it was just a wicked adventure, man. It was just one of those things, like you look back and think that's like, yeah, it's not even once in a lifetime. I've done it a couple of times now, but nothing like that with those conditions, being the first to go through.
It's just a crazy window.
Oh, it was just epic, man. There's just so much happened on that trip.
Was that where you got your first barra too?
First meter barra.
And then
I backed it up with a second.
I saw one just the other day.
I'm pretty passionate about the fishing side of things and all the rest of it. So
to just stand on a creek like that and pull a meter fish out of something like that with a fucking headlamp on, it's like a wild experience.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I'm surprised people from back home didn't hear me yell. Like I've been dreaming of catching a fish like that since I was like 5 years old. No shit. Yeah. And to give you an idea, I'm about to pull my wallet out. I keep the scale. I'll release that fish, right, to live another day. I've dead set got the scale of that fish.
I fucking love it.
In my wallet.
That is unreal.
Like, that's how much that means to me, that particular fish, right? And then
that's so good.
Yeah, and then I backed it up with another meter fish, which is like in barra fishing, a meter fish is like the
Holy Grail.
Yeah, man. And then this is shows, I suppose, what sort of a nut myself and Graham are like. We did that trip and we were off grid for, let's call it 20 days or something.
So that was a big one.
It was a big one. I think we filmed 3 episodes doing that. And then, so we get back to Kununurra and, we've been away for a long time from home, from our families, from life. And we hatched this plan, Graham and I. Like, the fishing was so good that we thought, fuck going home. We got to Kununurra. We went to the helicopter joint and said, do you reckon you could drop us off on these rocks? It's about 200 Ks in a straight line. Can you drop us off there for 3 days? And we had no hiking gear, right? So we literally just got back into Kununurra. We went to the local, BCF equivalent and bought an air mattress each.
I love this.
And we put whatever we could in a weird bag, bought some food and just went and fished hard for 3 days. Straight after doing that trip. Like, that's how obsessed we are.
That's so sick.
And it was epic. Like, we caught some really good fish and had just a mad time. We brought with us a bottle of rum that we kept beside our airbeds. And so we had a bottle of rum each. We had 4 beers between us. And we went up to this, because we're where the salt meets the fresh, and we went up into the fresh water and put these beers. I was a bit apprehensive about this, right? It was Graham's idea. We put the beers into the fresh water and to cool them down a little bit. It was like 35 degrees every day, and the water's about 29 degrees, so it's not really.
Drop a couple.
So we put them in the water, and then at night time we'd finish fishing like into the dark. We'd go back to our camp, put our rods down, walk up to the creek, look out for crocs, try and like, make our way through the water, pick up a beer each, go back and sit on our air mattress and just drink this warm beer. And I tell you what, one of the best
beer you've ever had in your life,
without a fucking doubt. It was absolutely amazing. And then we cooked every meal was fish. We'd just eaten barra, and we'd catch barra and put them in a rock pool. And so because doesn't happen very bloody often, but
really, so you made like a pool. Yeah,
there was just a rock pool of salt water in the rocks, and so we'd catch any barra because it was actually
that's proper.
It was hard to catch an eating size barra. They were so big, and we like to release the big girls. And when we get a decent eating size one, we'd chuck it in this rock pool, and at the end of the day, you just go back and get us your dinner and grab the fish out, cut it up on a rock, and put it in the coals. It really was. It really was. One of the highlights of my life, really, that trip, just doing things like that. Like, you know, it was just... Fuck, we just did it. We just thought, because we were saying, man, we've got to come back. We've got to come back. You know, like, well, it is. We were there and we thought, fuck, we've got to do this one day. And it was almost, no shit. Like Graham and I just were waiting for the camera crew to set up and stuff. And we both sort of almost got out of our cars at the same time with the same idea. We're like, fuck, let's do it now. Let's just do it now. We'll never get another chance. We'll talk about it for another 2 years. Let's just make it happen. And we did. And I'll tell you what, trip for a lifetime.
That's so sick.
Yeah, it was super cool. Graham and I are both like this. There's a heap of things we don't really film, but we're very passionate about adventures. So we always come up with these harebrained schemes to like do something cool. Yeah. You know, once a year try and do something cool together. And we're talking about catching black bass and PNG as the next thing we're gonna do.
So sick.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those things too. You got to slowly just build that audience on the channel that are there for, you know, the fishing, you know, the more fishing side of things. And this, I mean, it's probably a case of, if I'm just thinking out loud, like maybe the more personal videos that you put out, that's more, you know, like you focused, as weird, you know, obviously as weird as that'd feel after the previous conversation. But I mean, I think you get to a point where people just do, you know, there'd be people that look up to you. There's people that do want to hear the way that you think about life and the way that you think about, you know, like you said, following your passions and doing things for the right reason. I mean, maybe that's the way, you know, you give people a little bit more of a look into like you personally, and they'll be like, by the way, I fucking love fishing. So you want a bit of this, you get a bit of this.
Check this out. Yeah, and look, I'd like to do it just to take people on the adventure, because sometimes you do adventures that are so sick that you feel like it'd be cool to show people what we got up to, because explaining it's one thing, but actually, you know, taking a camera there and showing people what we actually did, like walking in that creek at night, getting the beers out and sitting back, cheers, and going, this is the best fucking beer we've ever had. It's this warm emu export that's been sitting in a creek all day, you know? So there's little things like that. One day I think I'll do some more of that sort of stuff. But at the moment we're just so busy with everything, and I just, some of the things I do for fun, I don't take cameras just to keep it fun, you know, just keep it exciting and fun, and don't need to show the world what I get up to sometimes. Like
and I think one of the other cool things like about showing the trips and filming them the way that you guys do, as well as that sometimes I think it feels a little bit like almost selfish just to not show people what you're doing, when you know that people will love it, and it will inspire people to go do their own shit. And you know, I think for us, like me and my mate Sammy, like we go do these races and we're fucking not that good, you know? And I think for a lot of people it's like, here's these two average dudes that don't ride that much. You know, they don't ride that much themselves either. And then we go and struggle. Like, we just flew to Perth to race in WA. It's like the roughest track in Australia. I fucking sucked. I pulled off the last moto and did a burnout and scolded JD from the crowd.
See, that's you know,
and it's like, all right, I can do this, you can do this. And I think it really does kind of affect people and actually getting them to go out and have these adventures for themselves.
Without a doubt. And, you know, see, I would rather watch that than, you know, someone at the top of their game doing it, because I could relate to that. And you know, it's really relatable, it's real. And, you know, I think some people take themselves a little bit too serious when they're producing content. We just got back from a trip from the US, right? And heaps of people, one of the things that a lot of people in the US said, there's nothing like our channel over there where we take the piss out of each other. We don't pretend to be like the experts. Like just for the sheer fact of been doing it a long time, we're half decent at it. But we show the mistakes, the good, the bad, the ugly. And, you know, I've made a dick of myself so many times. It's not funny, but it's real. And in America, they don't tend to do that. They don't have as much fun with their content. They're like, okay, we're going to show you how to winch up this hill. This is what you do, and if you don't do it, you're a bloody idiot.
Yeah,
and that's not fun to watch. That's not fun. That's where I guess like Aussies can make content that is, you know, a little bit self-deprecating in a way. You're having a bit of a go at yourself. You're having fun with it. There's mateship. There's a lot going on where the rest of the world, when they're making content, you got to be ultra serious and you know, and I don't think that resonates on YouTube as well.
So the US, we're I think 68% US.
Oh wow!
So the majority of our YouTube channel is US.
Yeah.
So have you guys got plans to do more US stuff? Because the market's fucking huge there.
It is. Look, at the end of the day, we're going to be an Aussie four-wheel drive show, and we're not going to forget. Like, you know, oh shit, so we can make it big in the US. That's not what it's about. But we've got such a growing audience over there, and just in the I guess the whole idea of keeping it exciting for us and experiencing new things. Like next year, I went this year just to a overland festival, which is like a big four-wheel drive show, camping show. And next year, I'm actually gonna try and I've been building this vehicle for like 5 years. I'm gonna take it overseas to the US.
Sick.
And go and drive a bunch of their like iconic tracks and film, you know, a couple of shows over there.
So what are considered their iconic tracks?
So from some of the dudes I've been talking to, and I guess I've been reading like some US magazines my whole life. So I've been like Moab is like huge.
Yeah. Have you ever been over there?
Not to Moab, no. And I went to my first US trip just the other day, so I'm pretty green with it all.
Moab's crazy.
It's mental. I've seen some of the footage. Like it's proper. From proper tracks. Like
like through the canyons and stuff like that.
To be honest, I think it's going to scare the shit out of me. Like some of the big like V rocks, and like you get it like going over the tops of these crests, these rocks. If you get it wrong, you're dead, sort of thing. Like
go on like I don't know, Google Images or something, and just type in like Moab 4x4 or Overland or whatever. It'd be cool to get a visual.
Yeah, you'll wait till you see this, man. Yeah, this is loose. Like it's. You wait till you see some of the dudes. Like, look at that. See that one there with the big.
This one.
Yeah, that big knob thing that people drive up like that.
Fuck yeah! Just did an FJ.
Imagine getting that wrong.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty gnarly.
Everything's pretty gnarly there, and I can't wait to drive. Just to take an Aussie built car.
So what are you going to take over there?
The Dirty 30, which is it's a 60 series body. It's being cut into a ute that's on an 80 series chassis with a 79 series motor, 100 series box. It's got every Land Cruiser built into one Frankenstein car.
That's so sick.
It's a cool car.
And how long have you been building that for?
The best part of 4 years.
Really? Yeah, it's a big job.
Yeah, it got out of control, and I had a 60 series. That's how I started filming stuff. I had
the 4-speed.
It was a 4-speed auto actually.
Okay.
3-speed auto, 12 HT 60 series. It's the best car I could afford back in the day.
They're a sick car.
Super sick, and they weren't as cool. Like now, they're worth a fortune,
dude. My dad. We grew up. We had a 4-speed manual 60 series. Thing was white, clean as fuck, and Dad had to sell it when we were a kid. He cried when he sold it. My goal in life is to buy my dad one back.
That's sick.
Because
sick.
I fucking love that car, dude.
They are epic. That was still my favourite looking four-wheel drive of all time.
They're unreal, eh?
It's super cool.
Can you pull one up, Rones? Land Cruiser 60 series.
Oh, here we go.
Fucking memory lane.
May as well be pulling porn up if you ask me. Look at that.
Yeah,
what a beast.
It's a fucking animal.
What a fucking beast.
Beautiful car, eh?
Yeah, they are. I'd like to get another stock one, but so I used to have a Suzuki Sierra, then I bought a 60 series, and I got it for $9,000. So I sold my Zook for like $5,000, and
different times.
Oh man, I had to pull together every cent I could muster, and bought a 60 series, and then I ended up putting like 400,000 Ks of adventures on that car.
Wow.
I drove into the ground essentially. It was completely fucked. I had to take it off the road just for safety reasons. It was done.
Really?
Yeah.
You fully ruined the
the chassis, the body, like the metal fatigue was just insane. Everything was fucked. So yeah, I've done the same to an 80 series since then, mind you. I just drive the wheels off them. And, I don't regret a second of it because the adventures I've had are pretty loose. Like I've had some really good times in those vehicles. But, but I got, basically mine looks a lot like that. Maybe Google Dirty 30. It might come up on Google. I've never done this before, but...
Not with my search history.
Yeah. Just be careful, yeah.
Everyone's always like, is this your personal laptop that you fucking do all the search? I'm like, we're good. That thing is a rig.
It's a beast. It's taken a few different incarnations over the years, but...
So how many Ks have you put in?
That's the original one on the bottom right there.
This one?
Yeah. That's the one. It was a wagon. Then because I had rust and I stuffed a heap of panels, I had to cut it in half. And then I used to drive that leaf sprung thing around. And that's why I built this one, because it was basically a bit of a tribute to the original. Yeah. But yeah, I've done, I don't even know. I think because I think a lot of four-wheel drivers are all late. A couple of my cars that have done heaps of Ks, the speedo might have stopped for 2 years. Yeah, right? Yeah. So you don't really know how many Ks they got on them, but they've all got sort of like over 500,000 clicks on them. Yeah. Fuck. And so, yeah.
It's a lot of driving.
It is, man. We put a few Ks on, that's for sure. It's, and just some hard Ks too. You get to find the limitations of these cars, not just driving hard tracks, but just thousands and thousands of Ks of corrugations that literally shake the shit out of a car. Yeah. And you'll find any weakness on them pretty quick.
Has there been a big difference these days? Like the cars nowadays seem like super, super capable. I just got a D-Max the other day. Yeah. So I think we're going to do, one of our sponsors is CTO down in Melbourne. So they're going to do like a bit of wheel and suspension and tyres. Cool. And then Danny from ARB is going to help us out with a few things for it. So it'll be like the first time I've ever built like a bit of a four-wheel drive kind of deal, but they just seem so capable these days.
They are, but you're just getting back into an old car, like an old 47 series. Like I just did Cape York with split rims and no lockers, no lift, no nothing, and it surprised the shit out of me how capable that rig was, because it was so light as well. Yeah. But yeah, you're right, with the traction aids and stuff, they come in factory with lockers and stuff. Yeah. They're pretty capable. They're pretty capable straight out of the box these days. They're probably, and I think all modern cars are just probably a little bit softer these days, a bit more plastic in them. They make them a bit softer because they're making them to comply on the road a bit better compared to some of your old rigs, which might be a bit tougher. Like the amount of metal in something like an old 60 series.
It's all fucking metal, basically.
Yeah. Was it, most unaerodynamic vehicle ever made. Just a beast, a proper tank. But and that does tend to make them last a bit longer. Like I'd hate to see me put 400,000 hard Ks on a new 200 series or something. I reckon the dash would fall out of the thing in like 2 years time. Like I've got a 200 series, and they're very capable, but they're just not built the same.
Yeah, it's just a totally different.
It'd probably outwheel the piss out of like the old farm truck just in standard form if you could be brave enough to take it on the same tracks. But yeah, man, I think the new cars are just not built like they were back in the 80s. That was like a golden era. I reckon that 70s, 80s, 90s was just a golden era for four-wheel drives.
No, that's pretty cool.
Showing my age, maybe a bit nostalgic, I suppose, but
nostalgia's a hell of a drug.
It really is. It really is. No, that's cool.
So this thing, when you take this thing to America, they will freak out on that, man. Like even when I lived over there, and you'd show people photos of like a Commodore Ute, they'd be like, "Wow, it's like El Camino, bro."
Yeah. I've been looking at a lot of Commodore Utes lately, so. But yeah, I reckon they'll froth. One of the biggest things is they don't get diesel vehicles in the US, really, because of emissions and all that other shit. But they're all running petrol, gas, or whatever. All my cars are diesel, and they just froth on the fact that it's a diesel. It's just unique. Like they get 60s over there, but not in a diesel format, and no one's stupid enough to spend the time and money like I have on one of these and cut them into a ute. And it's got a 4-link rear suspension on it now, and on an 80 series chassis. We've even put 200 series body mounts holding the cab up, because they're staunch and they're going to hold better body mounts. But it's very unique. There's not another one in the world, so yeah, they'll probably froth when it's up against all those Jeeps and crazy other American trucks, it'd be different.
So you got Moab. Where else have you got in the US that's like their key sort of trails? Because man, it's a fucking beautiful country.
It
like
is,
to go
the scenery is
all
wild.
the way across. Like I've driven California to Atlanta.
Oh wow.
Twice.
Oh, shit.
And then I've driven California to Colorado, which you go all through Utah and through like Zion and all those places, and gone through Moab and gone through Yosemite and gone all up through San Francisco and then all through like the redwoods. It is a crazy fucking country. And then like, dude, Montana. Yeah. It is mind blowing.
Yeah, fuck. There is. I was blown away. Even I was only there for like 10 days, right? But I was blown away. I was in Arizona, and
another amazing cool place.
It was crazy. Like I felt like I was in Mexico for part of it. And then
pretty much were.
Yeah, pretty much, I suppose. And then well, I saw the Grand Canyon stuff. That's loose. It's wild. But I think we're going to go to Colorado.
That's epic, dude.
Everyone says the scenery. I can't really relate other than the high country here in Australia, but Colorado is on the hit list, as well as Rubicon Trail, which is in California. Yep, apparently that's a bit of a big boy track. It's got,
type that in, Rubicon Trail.
I don't know much about the Rubicon Trail. All I know that like Rubicon's like a tough sort of Jeep, and I guess it's been named. That's
right. It is the Rubicon. There's the Jeep. Yeah,
that's it, with all the big rocks.
That sort of looks. I wonder whereabouts that.
Somewhere in California.
It's Tahoe. Yeah, I was going to say that kind of looks like Tahoe. Yeah. That's super cool.
Look at that. Imagine driving. See, this is cool. I'd love to give this a crack. Just something different.
Yeah, that's epic, man. Yeah. There's a... so go up to the top and see where Maps is. It'd just be interesting to see...
I probably need to fit some bigger tyres just looking at some of those rigs, eh?
Yeah, so that is Tahoe, yeah. We... my old business partner in the States, we used to shoot, so we'd do all these big Red Bull projects, so we'd be on location for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'd do the shoot, and then he had a house in Lake Tahoe, in South Lake, and so then we used to do these shoots. We'd be fucking out in the middle of nowhere for weeks on end, and then we'd take all of the footage back to the house in Lake Tahoe, and sick. If it was winter, we'd snowboard all day and then edit all night, and if it was summer, we'd mountain bike all day, edit all night. It's such a sick place, man.
Yeah, I can't wait just to do something different. Like, it'd be a bit of an eye-opener as well. And all these rigs, they take them to the next level in the US. Like, their laws about driving these things on the road.
What laws?
Exactly. It's so sick. Like, it's such a nanny state over here when it comes to vehicle modifications. Like, you can go and spend 10 grand on your suspension, do a swerve test, make this thing handle like a bloody race car on 35-inch tyres, but it doesn't really matter. Even if you get it engineered in Queensland, right, and a proper engineer signs off on it and says, that thing should be on the road, you've done all the right things, you've got bigger brakes on it, suspension's dialed in, then it's up to the discretion of your Queensland Transport, where they go, you know what, I don't really agree, eh? And some dude with a clipboard can just go, you're defective, man. Like, that's what it is here in Queensland. It's unbelievable. And then, I don't get it. But over there, they can do whatever they want. It's
literally.
Literally.
You can do whatever you want.
Except they don't really like diesels for emissions, but
I think you just got to get like a smog test though.
Yeah.
That's all that.
Which the older diesels probably wouldn't pass, but.
Yeah, okay.
But
there'd be a way around it.
There would be. People do
honestly,
run them.
if a cop pulled you over there, they would just be fucking pumped.
Yeah,
Actually, I doubt they'd care.
That is froth, eh? Like, no, it seems a bit more relaxed over there with their laws and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. I mean, which like kind of it works for them in this sense, and probably works against them
in other ways,
like other senses. Yeah. But man, people will lose it, and if you go over there and do that content, I could see it. I think it'd kill it just even for the Aussie market too. Really, for like your audience now to just see fresh trails and a different perspective, and like kind of broaden the horizons a bit.
And that's the thing. I mean, like, I'm sure when I was over there, like probably about 10 different people offered me their rig to take on an adventure. Yeah. And, I could definitely drive a Jeep or, something cool like a Ram or something wild over there. But I thought, nah, you've got to take an Aussie
100%.
truck over. It's going to be
100%.
10 times more paperwork, a real headache. You got to ship the car over. It's going to cost a shitload, but how cool would it be? Like you take an Aussie car over that, people have seen it do Aussie tracks. Like, can it do these big American tracks? I don't know. And try and do it in an Aussie style. Because I don't know. I could be talking absolute shit, but I get the impression that a lot of guys who drive these sort of hard trails over in the US, trailer their car
to and from, yeah.
Or they're
not really living out of it.
No, or they go and drive the track and then they come back to a cabin for the night, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but we do it so different. Like, we just roll a swag out in the ground beside our car, and that's us for 2 weeks. So.
Dude, even swags over there. I used to explain swags to people.
Yeah,
and I actually wanted to send one over to myself, but I just never ended up doing it while I was there. But even people just fucking freak out just on a swag. Just
that's pretty wild. I suppose
Colorado,
in bear
country,
country,
worried about bears.
Yeah, just thinking about
real.
that. Then, yeah, that's a bit wild, eh? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Like, we got nothing in Aussie that wants to eat you except for crocodiles and things like that. But yeah, you're pretty safe in a swag.
You've got legit bear boxes. They call them over there. So you go camping and like the sequoias, type in the sequoia, or what's it called? Old Sherman. Maybe old Sherman tree, I think. And it's like in the sequoias. Yeah, there you go.
To escape bear attack.
So, yeah, look at this thing. Go to the images of this. So this is beautiful. This is in the sequoia. This is the biggest tree in the world. And General Sherman, that's what it's called. But there is so many fucking bears. Like,
is there really? Yeah.
Yeah. So we used to go and camp here all the time. It's like it was only a few hours from my place in California. So we used to go. It was pretty awesome camping and hiking and stuff like that. And so it's all national park. So you pay for your camp, and they got like a little kind of general store and stuff. It's not like real camping like here, but you have to be in a vicinity of this bear box, which is where you put all of your food. And it's like Alcatraz for all of your food. You can't keep food in your car. You can't keep food in your tent.
Really?
Bro, like, it's actually no joke. So you've got to just fuck everything off into this bear box, lock it up at night. Otherwise, bears are just going to come through and rip your shit apart. Like, if they can smell food inside your tent, they're going to try and rip your tent open.
Wow.
It's actually that gnarly. And one of the trips that we walked from our campsite to this tree to get the photos and do all that shit. And I've probably seen 15 bears.
Really?
Yeah.
Also, okay. You're pretty likely to see one.
100%, yeah. You'd almost say it's 100%. And luckily in these national parks, they are used to seeing people and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like mum with cubs running around and big boys just cruising around by themselves. It was mostly black bears there.
Yeah.
So that's like the freshwater croc of bears,
Okay.
Not so it's not like
gnarly,
big grizzlies and shit.
Still,
but they're still around, you know.
Yeah, still like makes a dingo seem pretty piss weak, eh? Like,
yeah, and it's funny because, you grow up with crocs and I know what to do around crocs.
Yeah.
There's I don't feel scared of crocs because I know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Bears, I was looking at this thing first time I seen it, I'm like, I don't really know what the movie's here, eh?
Yeah,
like, I've got zero knowledge.
Ditto, man, ditto. Might be swapping the old swag for a rooftop tent, maybe, and sleeping upstairs, I think.
Nah, good swag, mate. They won't get through the camera, surely.
yeah. Or the person that you're camping with, like, put honey or sausages or something like that. Yeah, that's right. So if a bear does come, yeah.
But yeah, it's no joke, man. And I've seen a mountain lion in Colorado.
Oh, true.
Yeah. I was going up. I was filming actually, and I went up above this track to do a time lapse, and then I just fucking saw a big old cat and like walked around the front of my camera, like in my tripod. Just like sat there for a bit and it just stared at me for a while and then walked off, and then I fucking got my camera and walked backwards down the hill. I was like, fuck
crazy.
All this, I don't know what's going on here.
I think that's like a lot of people from overseas think like Australia is the most deadly country ever. Like,
they do. And
like, we got spiders and snakes and all these other things they'll kill you, but they're not actively trying to hunt you out. Like,
100%,
like a bear. Like that is loose. Like having like bears trying to attack you when you're in your swag or whatever. That's that's a bit full on.
And you look at a mountain lion and you're just like, I can't fuck with you.
Nah, I've always said, like, the boys will know this, I've always maintained that in a street fight, I'd win against a dingo. If there was one dingo, not a pack of them, like I'm not that staunch, but one dingo, I reckon it'd be a scrappy fight, but I reckon I'd probably get away on top. But I couldn't say the same between like a bear or a mountain lion, anything gnarly like that.
You want to win that fight by 100 metres.
Yeah. Definitely go with people that are slower than you, just at all times.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah.
I always think about that when I'm surfing. Yeah. I'm always like the dude that's like not the furthest out.
Yeah.
You just stay just one in, like as long as I'm just off the ruck a little.
Yeah, don't want to be on the edges, do you? Yeah.
They'll pick you off.
Yeah.
Have you got any dates in mind for when you're going to go over there?
Yeah, probably. They got this like big overland festival over there, which is like their big four-wheel drive show of the year. So I'm thinking I might start off at that overland festival in May next year.
Where's that at?
Flagstaff in Arizona.
Yeah.
And start there, and then
you could go to Colorado pretty easy from there.
Colorado,
Moab from there.
Moab's close. Yeah, it's pretty central. So we'll start there and then probably do a bit of exploring.
Yeah.
And get some crew over there to join us on a trip. And
so you're going to go through like the visa process and all that?
Yeah.
You have to go through that?
I'll have to do it. I haven't started on the process, mind you. I better pull me
into it. Yeah,
because I think just with taking the vehicle over, it's probably a 3-month ordeal. Who knows?
Yeah, there's probably some like carnet stuff. Have you ever had to do any carnet forms and shit?
No.
Yeah, whenever you travel into overseas with like equipment and stuff, because it's so expensive. If you sold it there, you could get away without the tax.
Yeah.
So you like itemize your what you're taking, and then you do a form called a carnet. So like whatever visa people you get, just say like, oh, we'll have to do a carnet.
That's something I definitely need to look into. But everyone's saying it can be done. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So as long as like you said, you don't sell your car over there, you got to take it home. And trust me, I don't want to sell it. I want to bring it back as fast as I can. But
you'd drive it if you could.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, that'd be a cool drive. But yeah, man, I can't wait to do something like that. A bit different. I mean, I still froth on obviously the Australian stuff probably more, but just broaden your horizons a little bit and see like some of that stuff we just saw then. Like that's wild. I don't even know if my car can do that. I might have to try and put some bigger tires on it and
Americanize it.
Yeah, probably.
That should be the first bit of content. Is to just get over there, take it how it is, and be like, look, we got to beef this fucker up.
Yeah, just get some 37s or 38s on it and just wheel the piss out of it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
And do you you'd take your own crew over there? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would, just because we've been working together forever, and these guys they're the ones that make us look good. So it would take probably at least our producer over and stuff like that, and probably a cameraman as well. We'll probably have a pretty tight crew on that one, just because of the expense will be, I can imagine, monumental.
You gotta have dudes that are down to sleep on the floor.
Yeah, in bear country. I won't tell them that bit though.
Yeah. We'll leave this bit out.
Yeah. No, it'd be an adventure just to have a crack, and see what it's like.
Yeah.
And and hopefully we can drive some of those iconic tracks, because they look pretty gnarly. I'm actually scared of heights, so that one in Moab just scared the shit out of me when we looked at that gnarly.
I don't know if I'd do it, I guess if you're there, you might have to, but fuck.
Yeah, it's a little bit committing when you're so high, like maybe thousands of feet above sea level, and you've got cliff edges on each side, and you're giving it a red-hot punt just to get up over a rock.
In a Frankenstein car.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't want to go first. I don't think that might be a bit gnarly.
Yeah, no.
You got to give it a crack. You got to give it a crack.
So you were saying before that that US scene is kind of like a little bit maybe behind the Aussie scene in like the four-wheel drive touring kind of thing.
That's
what are you like crystal ball looking into it? Do you think that's probably the next place it's going to explode with that stuff?
Without a doubt.
Really?
I like America's so far ahead in a lot of things we do here in Australia. Like in the race scene, like building these four-wheel drives that have massive tires and stuff. Like they're light years ahead. They've been building like race buggies and
like
stuff.
The Baja stuff.
Yeah, Baja, King of Hammers, all that sort of gnarly race stuff. They've been doing that for years, and they're well ahead. In terms of camping and touring, like the stuff we call touring, they call it overlanding, and that's sort of like a new phenomenon over there. Like these dudes are like just getting into it, and like anything, if it picks up over there, it's going to be huge. So yeah, it's definitely the way it's going. And the cool thing is we've had, I've had 20 years experience of doing this sort of stuff, and these guys are just getting into it now. So That's exciting. That's exciting to see if there is an appetite for an American audience of what we do.
And in what ways is the Aussie market ahead in that?
In nearly everything. I mean, I think like Aussies grew up camping, sleeping in a swag and canvas on the ground. Like they just don't tend to do it without having like an RV or a cabin to go to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We, like most of my childhood memories of when we went on holidays was in an old tent that took about 4 hours to set up with 1 million poles and of course huge fights and all the rest of it. And then you camp out that for a couple of weeks and in the outdoors and all that, camping out of your vehicle. We have fridges in our cars now. We've got 12-volt systems, and we live out of our cars. They don't tend to do that as much over there, I get the impression. It's sort of a new novelty, and they're doing it without a doubt now. But we've been doing it for, like I said, since we were kids, right? And Aussies are, I don't know, maybe a little bit more adventurous in some of those.
Bit more rugged. And
they're happy to sleep on the ground and not have an aircon to go back into every night. Like they just do it. So we have a lot of experience in that space, but also in the aftermarket gear space.
Because you've developed so much more.
Well, we have, and our roads are shit house. We have more dirt roads that are corrugated than probably most countries out there. So we just break our shit all the time. So we've got an aftermarket industry that has supported building these cars better, and we make some of the best gear in the world. And I was surprised by that when I went to the US. But in this like expo, they got these massive big made in Australia signs and stuff.
That's the thing.
Yeah, man. If you've got a product that's made in Australia, it's tough as because
Patriot's over there now.
Patriot, they're doing huge stuff over there. Max Tracks are doing huge stuff. There's a heap of companies, Red Arc, who do all the 12-volt stuff. They're all in the States, and it's going to be big for a lot of Australian companies who get into the States, it's for sure.
Yeah, because that's what it seems like, is that there's been this emerging market in Australia for so long. And, like I'm friends with Danny Brown from ARB, and it's like that's a crazy family business. Like that's one of the mainstay Australian family businesses. Forget about the brand as such, but in terms of like the runnings of that company, like it's an iconic Australian brand, and there's just so much skin in the game, like years and thousands of Ks and thousands of shocks fucked and thousands of, miles of canvas,
It's amazing. That's a really cool story, the ARB story, and the fact that the Americans love that brand.
Really? So it's huge. Big over there.
It's huge over there. It's massive. And I got a mate, Tim, based down in Newcastle, builds a tray and canopy. Right, Mitts Alloy. He's big over there now. He's starting to sell heaps of trays and canopies because they just want Aussie products. Because if they can handle the shit that we put them through on a day-to-day basis, they know it's going to survive over there. So it's cool to see. It's just really cool. It makes you pretty proud as an Aussie to see that our industry is like building some of the best shit in the world.
Well, and it must be exciting on your end too, as one of the leaders in that world, if there is this market that's kind of now opening up for this in the US.
Yeah, that's exciting because you I guess when you live in Australia and all the rest of it, you think, the US will be bigger and better at everything. There's 400 million people over there, and it's kind of like humbling to think that us as little Aussies can be, showing these guys how to do this, which is wild. And look, mark my words, in 5 years' time, they'll probably overtake us like they do with most things.
Do it quick.
Yeah, and they'll be the best in the world at it.
But like you said about the YouTube channels, like if you kind of get that initial foothold in a space, then you're always going to kind of have I guess first to market wins in a lot of ways,
Yeah, exactly right. So it's exciting time in the Aussie off-road industry anyway, because America's an emerging market, and it's booming here in Australia. Like it's I've never seen I've been in it for nearly 20 years, and the way I see the Aussie four-wheel drive market right now, it is booming, especially since COVID, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, how did COVID change it?
Oh, massively. All these dudes that usually do a European holiday with their family couldn't do that, so they go, you know what, fuck it, we'll buy a caravan.
Put a roof rack on the Navara. Let's go.
Yeah, off we go. We'll go get this car built up so it can do it properly. And as a result, our industry's boomed over the last couple of years.
And is it something you can feel and see? Because it's numbers on a screen or numbers on a view is one thing, but when you're actually out in the real world and you can really see it.
Yeah, I see it just even from like our audience perspective. There's a lot of new dudes getting into it. Bought their first 4-wheel drive, taking their kids camping for the first time. I'm seeing it left, right, and centre, man. And it's really cool to see because it's such a I see it as a really positive like hobby, a lifestyle. People getting outdoors and getting back to basics in a way, getting outdoors and showing their kids the real Aussie bush and shit. I think that is so healthy. They're not locked up inside watching computer games and shit. They're actually getting out there and doing it. So that's a really positive social thing I've seen that come out of COVID. And as a result, the industry's boomed. Like dudes are selling so much product because people can't get enough of it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's positive in so many ways. I thought it was going to be the end of our industry when COVID first hit. I was like, oh man, like I was ready to. Yeah, I started putting applications into Bunnings. I thought, here we go, I'm out. Yeah, this will be the end of us. But it couldn't have been. It was definitely not the case. We even for people who had more of a craving for content, and wanted the know-how so they could get out and do it themselves because they realised they won't be going overseas anytime soon. So they thought, how do I make the most out of Aussie holidays?
And what was it like seeing? Were you still able to make content through COVID because you were going to such remote places?
Yeah, no.
Was it harder?
Oh yeah, shit, yeah. Like we really had to think outside. Because we got people all over the country. So the other presenter, Graham, a real good mate of mine, he lives in Western Australia.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's on the other side of the world, quite literally.
Oh, and he got fucking locked in.
Bro, he was done. I didn't see him for like the best part of it, 12 months, eh?
That's wild.
So, and then when you lose your other presenter, we've got a production team in New South Wales. We've got us in Queensland. So we had dudes up all over the country. And then we had all these stupid rules with like state borders being locked down and shit. And it was so hard for us. We were like, firstly, we've got a pretty understanding audience. They gave us a lot of leeway because we couldn't do the same things.
Content.
Yeah, and we had to think outside the box. So it made us be very creative over that period. Like we came up with this like beers in the shed, which was all we could film stuck in your shed. And it was like which at the time, it was like, we're filming this thing just for the sake because we've got nothing else to film, eh? But so many people love that idea of just a couple of blokes getting together. I guess that's why like your podcast is so like popular because hearing a couple of blokes have a chat and stuff, it's nice to be able to listen to, and the whole thing of mental health and that was brought up because people were doing it pretty tough in COVID, right? And it was just a bit of entertaining, sort of lighthearted shit to get them through. And we didn't think of it like that. We just thought, fuck, we've got nothing to film, mate.
We got to film some shit.
And so Graham didn't go on many trips for that period, and I was just doing where I could travel, I went. So if Queensland was open, I'd go up to Cape York or do something cool in Queensland, Fraser Island or something. We had times where we couldn't go to New South Wales or Victoria, but Tassie was open. So we got our cars trucked to Tassie, flew over, and Graham could go to Tassie, but he couldn't come to Queensland. So
we just had the only place you could meet.
Yeah, we'd have to move the chess pieces around and find out where we can film, and that was it, So it was tough. It was easier for us than many other businesses. Holy shit! We thank goodness it was very easy compared to, imagine the hospitality guys who opening a bar up the day before COVID, and I heard so many stories like that. There were people doing it proper tough over that period, but we got away with it.
Yeah. I mean, it was I guess just having an online business was kind of the move, but again, that's just luck, eh? Like,
true. Back to what you said before, man.
It's all luck and how you can fucking deal with that luck, and whether you call it good or bad in the moment is up to you as well,
That's sort of putting yourself in the right position to make opportunities. Like you see the online space has been emerging. You got with the times. You're an online business. Therefore, when something like this happens, which no one could predict, you're in a good spot, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. So to go back a little bit, so we kind of got to the good tangent, but to get back to where you basically stopped and stopped with the magazine, and then so how was the transition to move online? Like, how did that kind of happen?
It was. I guess one thing we had up our sleeve was media training, publishing experience. So we were for many years in a position where, although it was print magazine, it was still media, and we were able to deliver what people wanted to hear in the form of print stories and obviously the DVDs we did. So the transition was difficult because we couldn't just write magazine stories which you could just churn them out. Like, let's be honest, pretty easy. You know, I could write a magazine article in an hour, where if I want to go film something on how diff locks work, I'd have to go into the scrub. I'd take a full day plus the editing, which I don't fully appreciate even now how hard that is. And so it takes a lot more time and resources to make video content than the print stuff.
By like orders of magnitude. Oh, it's not even.
No one appreciates it. No. Like I do because I'm in the game a little bit, but I can't film or edit. Right, I'm useless when it comes to that. Like, you know, but I see how hard dudes work on it, and like our show, for instance, takes 20 days of editing to pull our show together, and there's usually a couple of guys working on it. It's a fucking lot of work, a lot of hours. And if you want to, people don't probably realize that, because we get asked so many, this is where people don't really understand. Like, we'll just do a Cape York trip and they're like, oh, so is that coming out next week? Or, like, dude, like, it's going to be like a week just to transfer the files.
Footage.
That'll take a week, right? And so that was different, coming to a different platform. And we were questioning ourselves, like, is YouTube the right space?
And who was involved in the decision making?
So me and another bloke called Glenn used to basically run the magazine back in the day, and so we, like I said, we basically kicked out of a job anyway. And we thought, fuck, there's heaps of life left in media. It just needs to take a different form. Yeah. So we, started like an agency, and basically put everything on the line to start Full Drive 24/7. It was a big ball move. Like, looking back at it, it was the best decision we ever made, right? At the time,
the sweats.
Like, I'm going to be able to do this for a career, or I am going to be working at Bunnings. And there's nothing wrong with working at Bunnings, but, you know, I'm probably not tall enough to hit the top shelf, so I'll be a little bit stuck, eh? But thank fuck it worked out. And like I said, best move we ever made, because it got us into, like, to so many more people could like look at our content now, and it's changed the whole thing of media. And that's the thing about media, it just evolves. Like, it's evolving. You got to keep with it, and that's what's exciting about it. Look at different trends. Like, will YouTube be the be all end all later down the track? Probably not. We'll have to reinvent ourselves again and again and again. It might be, you know, take form and something. It might be shit. We might be doing TikTok videos and dancing around and shit. I don't hope not. I'm out, by the way, if that happens.
We do like 20 mil a week on TikTok.
Serious?
Yeah.
That's
hectic.
That's
bro.
something I never got my head around, TikTok.
Well, it's just podcast clips. So we don't do any talk. Like, we don't do fucking dance. Like, we don't actually do any TikTok
that shows my
So we don't actually. It's literally what we put on Instagram, we put on TikTok, and we get videos that get like 10 million views. It's fucking ridiculous, man.
Me.
You guys have to do TikTok.
We do. We only started like 12 months ago.
Yeah,
we've got a few, and you're right. Some of those views have been pretty wild, but it's growing quick. But I just don't get around it. I guess I'm...
Yeah. But the thing is, so I had this thinking, these boys here, like Rones and Griff. Griff actually, he does all the TikTok stuff, right? And so I think Rones was probably the first person. I think you got us TikTok going. And then... Yeah, when Griff started, he started doing it a new way, and it worked, you know. And we had one video in particular. We did a podcast with Abbo Henry. He's like,
listen to that. That was that was mad.
Yeah. So we put some clips of that on TikTok, and it got like 10 million views. We went up 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, and then I think the podcast with him, like we said, watch the full video on our YouTube, got like an extra 60k views in a week.
Really?
So like it does convert, you know, like you just gotta, I think the hard thing is knowing what's actually going to convert.
Yeah. And how, you'd
think like, oh fuck, I'll do all these videos. Does it even mean anything? But that one video was like, yes, this actually does work. Like, to go up 6k subs for us in a week in a month it's hard. It's
getting the right content, I suppose. Like, here I am thinking you just need a big rack and a dance around. Yeah. And that's what TikTok's all about. But luckily we've got a cool social media team, and they're onto that sort of stuff a lot more than I am probably plugged into. Yeah. But
TikTok probably does way better than you even think.
Probably. I haven't been on there for probably a year, so I actually don't know what TikTok's doing. But It's right, getting the right format of content to try and deliver what people actually want to see, I suppose. Yeah.
So you guys decide, the YouTube thing is the move, and then that's what I guess where we're different is like I come from production, so I was kind of looking for a way to like use my skills in a sense, like because I sort of had an agency, like basically in America we were just like a video production house, and then we kind of plugged into different agencies, and I wanted to get away from that because I just didn't want to make other people's content anymore, unless it was for me in terms of like our personal sponsors, which is very similar to what you guys do.
Very similar.
So but I had that production background, so I couldn't imagine the thought process. That's probably why it felt like such a big leap, is because you were going to go full time into this content creation world, and that wasn't exactly your lane. Maybe
it certainly wasn't, and you got to, like I said before, I can't film, I can't edit. I guess my skills are in the publishing side of things, like how to sell content and get people excited about content. I need every other skill under the sun to make it come together. So from the get go, it was probably a bigger production than most people would probably get involved in from a startup, what I mean?
Purely because of your ignorance, probably.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. If I had more skills, it would have been a tighter
You're outfit. Like, I can't fucking do any of this.
I need people to help. And luckily we got some really good help, because it would be fucked otherwise. So we still started off a lot smaller than we are now, and we've got a real good knack of making like specialized content for clients as well, so similar to what you guys would no doubt do. And we're quite a, like these days we actually make about 900 commercial videos a year for our clients. We've got 57 clients in the game.
Whoa.
So we're a show, but we're also an ad agency as well. So we've got a lot of different clients, from big multinational companies right through to smaller mum and dad companies and all the rest of it. But we specialize. We don't take on a client who makes garden hoses and shit. Like it's only four-wheel drive or outdoors, or people who want to get into that space, because that's what we're good at, and we don't really muck around with anything else really.
So how did that, I guess, lane develop for you? Like, was that more the agency idea of you wanted to make that kind of content, or did that come off the back of the four-wheel drive content that you put on YouTube? Like, what come first there?
It was definitely the content came first.
Yeah.
So okay, here's a brief version of how, and a lot of people do ask, like, how the fuck do you commercialize?
How do you make money off free content?
How do you make money? And that's a great thing. So this is how it started for me. When I was in the magazine days, right, we have limited budgets. We can only do so much content. Now, I wanted to do some pretty sick things, because I just dream about epic trips all day. That's what I do. And I just obsess about, like, how do I get to go to Cape York?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we're not going to have the budget to send me up to Cape York to go do a trip. But I thought, fuck, if I could sell into a magazine story to get a budget, well, then can I do a trip to Cape York? And the publisher's like, sick. So I went and approached a bunch of companies. I got 15 grand into a print story. That was an editorial story,
which would have been unheard of. And I took, the first trip was actually the Simpson Desert, and I took 2 brand new cars. Instead of testing cars on the local tracks, I thought, fuck, I'm going to do a Simpson Desert trip, and here's all the stories I'm going to get out of it, and here's the money beside it. We're actually making money out of it. See you later. And so I was quick in the game to be able to commercialize, to link the two together,
to do what I wanted to do, but I realized I needed money to do that.
Yeah.
So that's how that started, and we had quite a knack of being able to weave in a bit of commercial stuff, but still make exciting content. Because if you put too much commercial shit in there, no one's going to watch your content, right?
Yeah.
And so we need to make it exciting that people actually watch it, but why not get a bit of money behind it so you can actually do more epic things? So it's always been spurred on by that.
That's so sick, dude. That's literally the secret.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically how I've thought about it. What the fuck do I want to do?
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost to do it?
Yeah.
Who can help me pay to do this?
Exactly.
And then how do they get value out of it?
That is the key there, because if you just limit yourself by thinking like, oh, I've only got this much budget, so that's all I can ever do. Well, that's the wrong way to go about it. You think like, sometimes we think of like fucking crazy things that we want to do. We're like, oh shit, that's going to cost heaps of money. But then we figure out a way to do it. And at least if you think that way to start with, you're not going to be limiting yourself with your content, with what you can do. So yeah, we've always been able to, I guess.
It's so available to people though. Sorry to cut you off. I think so many people think that's a lot harder than what it is. Mm-hmm. But it is available to you, people, you've got to be prepared to start small.
Yep.
And you got to be prepared to over deliver.
Yeah.
But it's what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And it's my chick, she is super into jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And she's got a crazy following of jiu-jitsu. She's one of the few girls that's serious about it that post content.
Yeah, wow.
And it's that's her fucking life. It's just she's got this random hobby that is in the grand scheme of things, this super small kind of deal, and then that's how she fucking makes her living, And it's it's just the same. You just reverse engineer it, and you work out what it's going to cost you, and try and add value to a brand. You start off, you're not going to get ARB the first time you do it. You're not going to get Red Hook the first time you do it.
No,
but you might get a mate that is just starting out that's building alloy trays, or you might get a bloke that builds lures at home. You just start super small, and I think if you're willing to put in a fuck ton of work, it's not as hard as what people think in a sense.
And I think people sometimes go about it the wrong way, because I get asked, one of the first things I get asked with everyone who wants to do this is how do I get free shit for my car? How do I get money to do this stuff? And
free ain't free.
Well,
that's exactly
you've got to be able
the line
to give something back. It's not about
free. Ain't free.
I've been in a fortunate position where I have got a lot of free stuff over the years. But that's because I'm able to deliver so much. For someone to throw a set of tires at me,
you've got to pay back 3 times what that's worth.
Yeah, exactly right. And if you can't, you shouldn't be. I'd feel so guilty. I wouldn't sleep at night if I knew that I was taking a product and not being able to deliver. I would, even if I did a shit job and I felt bad about it, I would ask for an invoice and say, just let me fix you up for it, because it's not sitting right with me. You need to come about it for a whole different thing. In my opinion, you've got to be obsessed about making the content. You got to be passionate about all you want to do is go to Cape York and be waist deep in a river as you're trying to drive a truck through it. That's what you want to do, and then figure out how you. Other people go, no, I want the free shit for my 4-wheel drive. I want the money.
I'll go do this,
and then I'll go and do a trip.
Yeah.
Right? No, you think you're coming about it completely the wrong way, and so that helped us in a big way establish the foundations to do what we do these days, right?
Yeah, and there's a big thing because similar boat, I guess. But there's times I just fucking buy shit.
Yeah,
I could get it for free, 100. But I'm free isn't free, and I tell that to people all the fucking time. I'm you see me getting something, it's not for free. I have to. I've either paid for this, with my 15-year fucking career, and these guys over the years, I've done so much shit with them or for them that it's a no-brainer for them, or they expect triple on what they're actually giving me, and sometimes it's fucking easier for me to just go and buy the shit.
100%, bro. I got some funny stories on that, but you see, people's expectations sometimes might not be they might be different to I had this is a funny story about getting free shit, right? And this dude was hassling me for fucking years about, he makes cutting boards, chopping boards, and he wanted to give me a chopping board. I didn't need a chopping board. I had a chopping board. And I said no many a times. He met me at a show once with a chopping board and said, here, have this. I was like, oh, okay. So I ended up having this chopping board, right? And I used it probably for 3 years in my show on the cooking show.
Got his money's worth.
Well, you know what? You'd think so.
No.
You'd think so. After 3 years, the thing got mouldy. I don't take good care of all my shit, and sometimes my drawers fill up with water going through river crossings and stuff. Thing got mouldy, had to go in the bin, got another one. Anyway, he was
off it.
Oh, bro, I've never seen, he's publicly trying to out me on social media. His even daughter wrote hate messages to me. I'm like, I said, mate, look, it's been in 3 years worth of shows. It's had its run.
That's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Sure, but he didn't think that. Yeah. He's like, no, I'm gutted about this. And I said, look, just send me the invoice and let me fix you up for that chopping board. And we'll just call it a day, eh? We'll call it a day. And it's still today quite a funny thing. But I guess it shows the point that people's expectations could be, for him, that chopping board was
that's a life product. That's a lifetime membership. I
should have called 25 shows about his chopping board and just mentioned it every time and showed people, right? Yeah. But that's his expectations, and And that's why it's sometimes easier to buy your shit and not get free stuff.
Yeah, because that is the I guess the common misconception if you're in that kind of industry is that you just get given so much shit.
Yeah.
There's no expectation. There's no like I legit have a folder in my emails specifically for companies that have like given us product, and I just look at it all the time to make sure that I'm not dropping the fucking ball on any of the shit. And you know what? I do all the time. Yeah, like it's hard to do.
It is, man. It is tough. It is absolutely tough, and you know, it's not free. And I think you made that point. I think you know, your 20 years you've been invested in the game, the following, the amount of eyeballs, the amount of sales you can bring a company by using some of those products. So it's paying it back. And if you think you're in the game just to get some free shit to build your car, you're probably coming about it the wrong way.
Man, there's honestly... I've actually started feeling this a little bit lately too, and you would feel this on a completely different level. But when you do move the needle for a company in like a fairly big way, like we recently had a product that was like, it was involved in the podcast and they'd made like a lot of money. Yeah, and I was like, oof, like that's more than I've made. Like that's more money than I've made. Yeah. Like it's sort of you kind of get in a weird, like that's a weird position to be in. And then that was a I guess a point where like I've always tried to be really, really genuine about, and I'm not like affiliated with anyone in particular when it comes to bike brands and things like that. I try and be just super honest. I'm like, that's the best 250. That's the best. That's the only 350. Yeah. That's the best form. This is the bike I like the best. I pretty well try and lay it out there. But after this, I was just like, fuck, I really, really need to make sure that I'm like being very honest and very genuine every time you talk on certain things, because it actually can make people a lot of money, and people will spend their hard-earned money on the based on recommendations of somebody that they trust. And if you've listened to 300 episodes of the podcast, like there's probably a level of trust there. If you've watched hundreds of hours of your show, there's a level of trust there. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the flip side, isn't it? There's a huge responsibility comes with that.
I took it for granted for a long time.
Yeah, man. And like that's, you know, we are very commercial. We make no apologies for that. But at the same time, we have, I guess, we've established a lot of trust with our audience, and we wouldn't, you know, promote a product we didn't truly believe in. And there's been so many clients we've turned down because we don't believe in the product, or they might even just have bad customer service. When someone rings up, they have a bad experience, and we can't help companies like that. So we have to be a bit authentic in what we do, or else we burn our trust in 2 minutes. Like, you know, I've seen it, and this is, I guess it comes back to the media training I've had in publishing, but I see these guys that start a Instagram or a YouTube page or whatever, they start doing videos, and the next minute they're flogging off like some cheap loan company to their audience, and you're like, bro, you've made $1,000, but you've just fucked your brand in 2 seconds. Like that's just a lack of understanding when they see, there's a bit of money on the table, let's grab that. And sometimes if you're in for the long haul, you know, pick and choose your clients that sort of work with your brand, or something you'll believe in at least, because you can't genuinely flog a product that you don't believe in. And if you don't, well, there's no point. Your audience is smart. They're going to see straight through it.
Especially in Australia, bro.
Yeah, they're all over it. Like, they're smarter than I am about that sort of stuff. And they'll see through it. If you're flogging some cheap shit, they know it's cheap shit, and you're trying to say it's the bee's knees. Like, it's not going to work, is it?
The old YouTube comment section.
Oh, true,
will let you know.
That's so different with media these days. Instant feedback. Oh. You get it now. In the magazine game, forums are big, so you'd write.
But you got to go find it.
Yeah, you'd have to write a magazine article. We used to get printed offshore, so it'd take like 3-4 months before it got printed. People have to go buy it, read it, then they couldn't comment at the end of the magazine article.
Once they'd read it, or halfway through, or they just seen the thumbnail.
Yeah, exactly. They can just go and type it in 2 seconds, and it's different. It's different these days.
Like, I think it's better in a sense. I mean, there's times where people just take the piss, and it's funny. I've noticed that whenever you get a few bad comments, it'll just turn into a waterfall. Yeah, it's honestly just people will pile on. Like as soon as there's a license to say fucked up things on it in comments and everyone else is doing it, it's just like the floodgates open, and that's like it becomes an outlet for people.
And you get to see how many mouth breathers, idiots out there that just, you can't please everyone in doing it, but what you'll find is the minority will make the noise.
Yeah.
Like, and that's one thing we've had to teach ourselves over the years. Like, you might get 5 bad comments and you look at them and you go, oh, fuck, you don't want to read that shit before you go to bed, right? You're like, really? And you hate it that much, eh? But then you look at like, oh, well, the thing's got 1 million views and like heaps of people liked it. There's 5 dickheads out there just being dickheads. Like, you got to differentiate the noise from the substance in that sense.
Yeah. Did it take a long time?
Yeah, for me, especially when I was young, I took everything to heart.
Yeah, okay.
I couldn't read. I would make it back when forums were a thing, right? I wouldn't read comments on forums and things before I go to bed because it would fuck me. I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be able to sleep, man. These days, I've been doing it for a while now, and I just try and ignore the stuff. Like sometimes if I've had a few beers or whatever, I'll jump back onto the comment section and go, you know what, fuck you, mate. Like, but then that never works either because you can't argue with an idiot. No matter what you say, they've got a bit of an axe to grind, so they're just going to keep going and going and going. No matter what you say or reason with them or say, this is why we did this, mate. No, you're an idiot. No future. Yeah, you go, okay, mate. Well, you can't argue with a dickhead, so sometimes it's best just ignore that stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely hard for me at the start to do that, but I'm the same now. Like, it's fairly, like, fuck. I feel like at this point too, barring any like real fuck up, like saying something dumb that got taken in a weird context, and there's a bunch of hot button shit these days that could get you in trouble. Yeah. But it's like, I feel like I've heard it all. He talks too much, fucking thinks about this, he does this, stop talking about jiu-jitsu. Like, I literally know all of, at this point, I know everything. You'd have to say some real weird shit
to get a rise.
To be different, and then it's so weird that I'm probably not going to take it serious anyway.
Yeah, but it'd be tougher in the podcast game because, you're talking for a while, like for a long time actually, and you say so many things, and people are so PC these days that people want an excuse to get offended. So they're on the edge of their chair, sitting there going, please offend me because I can't wait to get on that comment section and have a crack, eh? Like, that's what people are like these days. Like, yeah, anyway.
But I always say to people, and anyone that's in this game too, I go, how many of your friends leave negative YouTube comments?
Yeah.
Or negative Instagram comments?
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, no, I don't really have any. And be like, cool. You shouldn't give a fuck about what everyone thinks. Yeah, man. You should give a fuck about what your best mate thinks, your second best mate, your third best mate, and then clip it at 10, and then care about what your missus thinks, care about what your mum and dad thinks, and that's like, that should be your judge of character because they know in the real world. Yeah.
I had a comment like a couple of weeks back. I was looking through it, and then you get some dickheads, like I said. And this guy was like, "You can't drive for shit." I was like, "Okay, fair enough." But then I clicked on the dude's like Instagram handle, and he's a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Like, his mum drives him to school. Yeah,
I can't drive for shit, but you can't drive. You're not allowed.
You can't drive at all. Like, it's a big call coming from a 14-year-old kid, right? And you think, like...
I respect him, though.
Yeah, like he makes a fucking point. He's saying some sense, man.
Hey, it's the ones that are true that hurt the most.
Yeah, that's right. And you're like, oh, it got me. Nah, but that's what I mean. Like, so many comments that people will just type for... There's no substance behind it, really. Like, I'm not going to change the course of our show because, maybe I shouldn't drive anymore. All right, I'll stop driving because I'm a shit driver, right?
Fuck it, I'll walk.
Because of one 14-year-old kid's had to fucking go on the comment section. It's a brave new world. But like you said, it's positive at the same time because you get instant feedback and you can change. You can adjust, and that's super cool. Like, we get so many ideas from our audience, and like our audience can be brutal at times, but they also give us a stack of inspiration. Like, they see something they like I was talking about building cars and stuff before. Like, I've got a couple of builds where I said it took 4 years, or I'm in the middle of one right now, and it's because people are so frothing to see this thing come out. They actually give me a lot of motivation to
get it done.
Or else I'd just lose interest in it, and it'd take it 10 years to get that car on the road. And these guys are pushing like, when are we going to see another? And we're like, oh fuck, I better pull my finger out, eh? And you can be a little bit more fluid with the content you're providing. Like, oh shit, people want to see that, so let's do a bit more of that sort of stuff,
Yeah, definitely.
So that's cool.
When you said before you I guess made reference to just the long term and it's like a long game.
Yeah.
When did you figure that out?
I guess right from the beginning, because when I was 20 years old, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, wanted to make it.
You want it all now?
Well, no, I wanted to be doing this for 40 years.
Yeah, okay.
So for me, it wasn't about like, fuck, what can I take out of this industry in the next 2 years and build my car and be done with it. It was like, no, this is my career. I want to be doing this shit when I'm 60 years old, until I'm too old to be driving over things, right? I'm passionate about it. I love the fact that you can, in this day and age, you can go out and do what you love and get paid for it. Like that's achievable. I've been able to do it, and you probably couldn't have done that like 50 years ago, right?
No.
And
nowhere near in the same way.
Not in the same way. No. Like it's pretty cool world we live in these days. And so I've, from the get go, I've always seen this as a long term game. And anyone I've seen in YouTube and stuff like that, it's long. Yeah. Like I've got a mate who's got a fishing channel, and he's been grinding away doing one video a week. It's pretty hard in the fishing game. You got to actually catch fish.
You got to go out and fish.
I can go out and film four-wheel drive content. Doesn't matter if it's raining or sunny, or every day I can get content. When you got to catch fish, it's a whole nother thing. And he's been doing it consistently for like 5 years.
What's the channel?
Sammy Hitsky Fishing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's he lives and breathes it. That's what I fish with him a lot, just because he genuinely is one of the only dudes that will fish as hard as I will. And so I love fishing with him, because we'll go out before the sun comes up. Like we might leave home at 1 a.m, and be on the water all day and get home in the dark. That's just very normal for us. And he can fish hard. So he's been going, it's been a slow burn, and now he's nearly at 100,000 subs, but it's taking 5 years and hard work. Yeah, the amount of early morning starts, filming on rainy days when you don't want to be out in the ocean, right? And he's had a video out every single week. It just does not stop. And it's that grind, didn't come like the first 3 years. He would have made nothing out of
literally
YouTube.
Nothing.
It would have cost him heaps of money to do it, in fact. But that's the game. It's long term. You can't just expect to just be Mr. Beast after 3 episodes or something and think it's all going to just fall in your lap,
And I think the other thing that people think as well, I actually thought this was probably one of the things I got a quick shock about, is that it doesn't matter who you fucking collab with.
Nah.
A lot of people too would think that if they wanted to start a YouTube channel, they've like just started one like 3 weeks ago, and if they went on one of your trips, they'd end up with 100,000 subscribers and their followers would go up. Like, I mean, we always did like pretty good, but we never it's not like we just had hundreds of thousands. You just don't blow up deluxe in the way that you used to. And that was one thing that I thought, all right, surely the Chad Reed podcast gets you up to this. Surely this person, surely Daniel Ricard, surely nothing. It's just an incremental fucking grind, and there's no shortcut to doing it. I mean, huge. Unless you're but the caveat is the people that do blow up deluxe overnight, they're like a shooting star or like a comet that just enters the atmosphere, and they flame out and then they disintegrate into nothing.
That's
and
so
any
true.
of the people that you see that are doing really well at this type of thing, doesn't matter what collab they got, don't matter what, how it sort of went. It was just this slow, methodical grind, and the people that are there at the end, or the people that have that longevity, it was a very similar story.
Yeah, without a doubt. We have never done anything that has just gone proper viral and just gone through the roof. Everything's just been very consistent, and we've just grown over many years of doing it. There has never been one thing we can look back and go, fuck, that was pivotal in our growth.
Bang.
Where we just jumped 100,000 subs or something. It's just been grind for years.
Yeah, And I think that's probably I guess maybe a misconception people would have that, you know, want to kind of enter into what you guys do.
Yeah, exactly right. And probably the other big misconception is you just get paid shitloads from you upload one video to YouTube and all of a sudden you're living like a rock star. That's not the case.
Man, I've actually recently, like, I'm listening to all the podcasts and interviews and stuff with other YouTubers and stuff that I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
So many content creators these days are saying that they only get about 20% of their revenue from YouTube ads.
Oh, right.
And the rest, like 80%, is brand deals and merch and stuff like that. And like when we don't fit that, like ours is like YouTube. So I'm really just literally like this month, I'm like, you know what? I need to work on 20% coming from YouTube and not being like so reliant on it.
Yeah, that's definitely the case with us.
Yeah,
without a doubt. YouTube is a small portion of the revenue we get. I mean, we have 20 staff these days now, and you know YouTube wouldn't be able to pay for all that goings on and all the rest of it. I get real jealous of the dudes that are just like
one guy with a
GoPro,
webcam.
and you're like, fuck, and they got heaps, they got millions of subscribers. They're killing it, and that's great. But you know, we're a full production, and we're just different. It's going to cost lots of money to make it, so we're not going to be, you know, hugely profitable just with YouTube alone. That's for sure.
So, how many staff did you start the new version of the company with, and like how did it kind of grow out from there?
Yeah, well, we probably started with like 5 of us or something.
Okay, so you just went pretty balls deep. Pretty quick.
Yeah, we did. It was like I said, it felt like a big risk, but luckily we'd been doing it for many years before. We just changed
just changed the handle.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then as we sort of developed our company into like more of an ad agency as well, you know, we're still looking for staff now. We need more people, and we're quite prolific, I suppose. We're making a lot of videos these days.
So do you deal with much of the production, like producer side of it? Like you're not filming and editing, but when it comes to like organizing hard drives and the way that the content's managed and the teams and who's working on what project and like what's your role like essentially?
Okay. So I spend a fair bit of my time on the business, like working on the business.
Like biz dev sort of stuff.
Yeah, and just like strategy and stuff like that. In terms of production, no. The problem with me is I'm literally in the bush for 7 months of the year. Like, no shit.
That is a problem when it comes to running.
So I can't manage heaps of stuff because I'll drop the ball when I've been out of reception for 3 weeks, and then I come back and I'm trying to pick the pieces up. And then you got your life to pick up in the meantime as well when you come home and you're like, where was I again?
Yeah.
And so luckily we'd fallen a heap if I was organising anything actually. So we've got some really good production guys on there that keep it running really smoothly, manage the team and stuff like that. So, but obviously I work hard on the business when I'm around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, can you let Hurls out? He's fucking carrying on like a dickhead.
Come on, bud.
Go on, get out. Get out and stay out. Shit sidekick. Hard to get good staff, eh?
Good dog.
He's actually American, that dog.
Is he?
Yeah, bought him back.
I was only discussed this the other day. I didn't think you could do that, but yeah.
No, it's an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yeah,
I would not recommend it for anybody.
Yeah.
So how long did it take to, like, did you guys scale up fairly quickly? And so you said you got some people here and then some people in Sydney.
Yep.
Because it's super interesting, like the way that you guys have had to set the business up.
Yeah, exactly right. And I've been doing it for a while now, I suppose, in the new format of the business. And you know, it sounds flash. Oh, we've got an office in Sydney and one in Brisbane, but it's only for the sheer fact that we just live all over the country. So we, you know, it'd be better to have one central hub, but the way it is, we've got dudes everywhere, and our team, you know, we'd rather have a sick team all over the joint than just right now you have to live in this place. You have to live in this one space. So that's just by virtue of our team spread out. We've had to like start the Sydney office, and then because of that, then we've got more and more people as we're servicing now 57 clients. Said, yeah. Like that's wild. Yeah, it's pretty wild, and so we need lots of hands to make that work, because we can only do so much. Like I can only do so much, film so much. So even we've got other presenters. We've got 3 presenters like full time. And we're about to put another one on actually pretty soon. And we probably, the way I see it, in maybe a couple of years, we'll probably put on even more presenters and stuff like that, and have maybe 6 or 7 presenters. Yeah. We're starting a caravan show this year, which is pretty wild. Yeah. And yeah, just the way I see YouTube is like I call it like Channel 9. Out Full Drive 24/7. Like, and you should have different programs on your YouTube. I don't know if that's the right strategy or not, but
I totally think it is, man.
Like, it's got to be, it's within that niche. It can't be, it can't be something completely, abstract, but like having like multiple shows.
Well, you've got that overlap, you know what I mean? And you can kind of, the edges can be pretty far away, but as long as there's like a little bit of overlap from the middle out,
Exactly. So that's the way I see it going in the future, having a few different shows on there, and giving some of these other presenters, like I can't do it all, Graham can't do it all, we're maxed out, give some other guys a go to be the face of their own show. Some guys are quite handy with his hands, like maybe a DIY show, like teaching people how to install shit or fix their truck in the shed, right through to technical things, information, how-tos. Like there's so much you can do, because at the end of the day, and this is what like a lot of people think, oh, but you see this other person's competition or whatever. I actually don't, because I know I'm an enthusiast. I fucking love fishing. I love forward driving. I love cars. No matter what I'm into, I'll never ever find enough information on that particular subject matter.
100%.
I will never go, shit, I've seen everything in fishing now, or I've seen everything in forward driving. And you got to put yourself in a point of view of, an audience member. Like, that person lives and breathes the off-road lifestyle. What? Because we make 1 or 2 shows, that's going to satisfy their appetite for content?
No.
They could watch 2 hours a night and still not get enough. So putting more shows on our platform, that would be a great thing, and more people making more cool content. That's a positive thing for the industry, as well as just, even fuck the industry, just the people who are passionate about forward driving. It's giving them more information.
Yeah, I think about it in the exact same way. Like, you could think about it as a zero-sum game, where for you to get more of something, then somebody else needs to get less. Yeah. And there's so many people that have that zero-sum mindset. But if you think about it from a positive-sum mindset, where more for you means that the pie itself has gotten bigger. Yeah. And that's what platforms like YouTube and TikTok and all these different platforms, like, they have algorithms like that want to find new people. They're actively trying to find new people. Yeah. So the more content that is out there, you're just like casting a bigger net. Yeah. And I think that, the people like yourself that have that mindset, there's a crazy channel in the US, a podcaster that I love. His name's Adam22.
Oh, and, No Jumper.
No Jumper.
Yeah. I get around that a bit.
Yeah. So, dude, crazy. Like, it's the same fucking story. Like, his story and our story, it's the same shit. Like, start way back in the day, like magazine era. Like, his was a blog with I think it was We the People. Was his, the Come Up was the website. And I remember it as a kid. I used to go on the Come Up when I was at school. But same deal. And I think he figured out that for his show, that there's only like a finite amount of interviews that he can do. So he brought in these co-hosts, and he's got all these different people. And there's some guys that are blowing up now that are on his channel, that they've got their own shows and they're doing their own sort of deal. And so his stuff, like, if you actually, what you're trying to do is like, it's pretty much the same stuff. So he'd be like a really good guy to look at. But he's in the exact same mindset. So I think that mindset's right.
I think so. And it's going back to what we said, having the audience in mind first before you do anything. What do they want to see before you start worrying about advertising and how do you make a buck out of it? Like, if you get that, what does the audience want? Well, they want more content. They want more stuff. That's why it shouldn't be like, oh shit, that guy's got a kick-ass channel, or he's taking potential client money off us. Like, if if the client wants to spend their money with someone else, that's maybe you're not doing a good job yourself. Maybe think of it like that rather than like trying to get jealous of all these other people entering your space. Like, it's a fucking big world out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and again, the platforms are incentivized to find new people, and that should be the goal for everyone.
Yeah, so hopefully, we can make some cool new shows and get some new talent coming up through. People will be bored of me soon enough, surely. And it'd be cool to see some other guys have a crack and you know, do what they're passionate about and get it out in the channel and stuff. That'd be sick.
Have you guys ever thought about maybe not moving completely, but you go from YouTube to maybe like a Netflix or an Amazon or, you know, even the Australian broadcast sort of stuff and actually get on TV? Like, I mean, fucking, we grew up on Rex Hunt, like Malcolm Douglas.
True.
I mean, there's been such a crazy lineage of Australian outback presenters that, you know, and I'm sure if you've got all their own production capabilities yourself. Yeah.
So like, I guess we were offered TV probably before YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. We were very close. Oh, yeah. We were very close to signing up and doing a TV show, and then we didn't.
What was the reason in that?
Well, at the time, it probably would have been a half decent decision back in the magazine days to go on TV.
Because that was the options.
And one of the big reasons was not. People were paying $10 a magazine to buy our stuff, and so we were a bit apprehensive about putting free content out there that was replicating what we're currently doing. So probably not people. Why would people pay if they can just watch it on telly, right? So we were in two minds, and we sort of missed the TV boat. And then it came to like when YouTube was blowing up, and we still had the option: do we go on telly? And I think we didn't, because TV, I believe, is dead, and that might be a little bit controversial, but I think it is. They use, like, because I'm from the magazine game, I know how it works with
which died.
You watched
it die.
But I know more so how they just lie to all their advertisers.
Yeah, about numbers,
man.
Yeah.
Like in magazine, say when I was saying before, copy sales, we sold 50,000 copies. That's a real number. That's how many magazines we sold. Now, there's another number in magazines called readership, which is basically based on brand recognition. Whatever they want, man. Because you could be selling 5,000 copies and you've got a readership of 300,000. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. They're bullshit numbers designed
for ad dollars.
Correct, and that's what same as TV. All the numbers are bullshit on TV, like pretty much. And what we would go and put ourselves on a Saturday time slot at 4 p.m. when every enthusiast is out there actually living their dream, camping and stuff. Yeah. And you have to pay to go onto a network slot until you're good enough that they pay you, right? And TV, it just wasn't. I at the time TV was big, but YouTube, I just felt like people can watch it if they want to watch it on Monday night, or when they want to watch it they can, and there's no restrictions. Like, you can be anywhere in the world. You've got a device, you can log into YouTube, and we went down that path for that reason, and thank fuck we did, because TV numbers are dead. Yeah, like they're small. Like I learned a stat the other day, right, that the number, I might be wrong on this, mind you, but the highest watched program on telly was A State of Origin. It was a decider game, and it got 1.1 or 1.2 million views. Yeah, right. That's the biggest thing in TV, full stop. And we regularly get over 1 million views per show. So TV, and we would have been...
Your unique viewers per month would be in the millions.
Yeah. And then the whole format of telly is like
very rigid.
Right, you got like a 30-minute time slot, which means 22 minutes, 22, of actual content. And because you're paying probably $13,000 a slot to get that half an hour, you got to put so many bloody ads in there that I've seen all the other full drive shows, just a big infomercial thing with no substance. You think, like, is that the direction we want to go? And then that's why we couldn't work, because telly sounds sick, like, to a client. Like, we're on TV. Oh, cool. And that's one of the first things we get asked all the time. So, what channel are you on? You're like, YouTube. Yeah. And they're like, what?
The biggest one.
Yeah. But some people don't understand. Like, now people do, I think, in a big way. But probably 5 years ago, they were like, oh, so you're just a YouTube channel. Like, what's that mean? Nothing. Compared to this dude who's on a 10 a.m. time slot on a Sunday morning who gets 50,000 views.
30K or whatever.
If he's lucky. Like, you're like... Yeah, okay. So that was a good decision, but yeah, telly. So getting back to what you were saying though,
I feel like nowadays though you'd be in a much different position.
We certainly probably would. We haven't really explored it, but one thing I would like to do down the track is more of a personal thing, not a commercial thing. Is make a series for Netflix or something like that, which was very much uncommercial. Cool content, doing the sickest things, full stop, with high production values. That would be like a personal project I'd love to do, and I could see myself doing something later on. Just I don't know if it'll make a sense. It'll probably cost me money, to be honest, but it'd be pretty cool to deliver something like that, and put it out there. And we've got a couple of ideas. Maybe down the track we might. I think that's probably like commercial TV is probably not the answer, but Netflix, all that sort of shit, I reckon, obviously is the future. Yeah,
that's definitely where my head's at as well with it is like I'd look at TV shit as basically just a fucking another platform, like uploading a video to Facebook. You just upload it to Channel 7 and then, if that we're not really in that line, but as from a media point of view, like that's how I would kind of look at it. But to look at Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, all those different services, makes a lot of sense these days when you can just, you sign a deal. It's just literally a product order on their end, It's like, hey, this is a series, fucking bang, this is a specs, here's the contract, send it through, and then you just get essentially syndicated,
Yeah, then that'd be cool because people can watch it whenever they want as well on all those services and stuff. And
in weird countries and in weird places.
So, look, shit, one day, but I guess my head's not even there. I think that
there's so much other shit to do here.
Yeah, there's so much, and it's just like I was saying that the demand for cool content is pretty huge, and we've got so many ideas we want to do on our own channel that we can't even do yet because of time and stuff like that. So I want to do more fun stuff, more stuff that excites me, like building cool cars, doing cool adventures. Like that's the stuff I can see as the next evolution of what we do. Is just more fun stuff. It sounds pretty easy, right? But that would be cool to have time to do that, and that's what getting other presenters and more people come on board will allow me to do more of that stuff.
And so the industry itself, it seems like from me on the outside, like I know there's yourself and there's a couple other like bigger YouTube channels that it's just full time. That's what they do in Australia with 4x4s. Is the industry pretty receptive to it, and do they get it? Was that I'm sure you were probably one of the pioneers of changing people's mind and changing like the industry perception of online content, because nowadays you're right, like it seems like there's a lot of companies that make a lot of money off guys like yourself that recommend these products, and it seems like that you call it influencer marketing. It's like way more complicated than an influencer marketing, but essentially that's what it is. But it seems like that the industry's benefited crazy off it, and from my end, like on the motocross thing, it's still a slog, dude.
Oh, really?
Bro.
I see that in other industries. I will say that the four-wheel drive industry is booming, and it is probably one of the easier. You need good content. Like, not everyone's going to make it. But if you're doing a really good show, you've got great engagement, and you're a fair dinkum person that is passionate about what they do, you're going to be quite successful in that industry. In the fishing or boating industry, doesn't matter how much you like that.
Really? So it's just totally
super
different.
Hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a fishing company will probably think you should do 50 videos for them, and they'll give you a free pack of lures, maybe.
Yeah.
That's how that industry sort of works, I think. I don't really know, but the four-wheel drive industry is a little bit more mature and is doing really well. Look, when things go a bit tougher in the industry, that's where it's going to weed out a lot of people that aren't making good content. That's for sure.
So is that a thing? There's a bunch of people that are doing it that just kind of aren't even really making that good of content.
Yeah, I guess so. Like,
hard for you to answer, I guess. I don't
even watch much content on four-wheel drive stuff, really. I don't even watch my own stuff that much, to be real honest. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll certainly get harder in the next few years to commercialise your stuff in the with third party sponsorship and stuff down the track, and a lot of. It comes down to results at the end of the day. Like, if you're not getting good results for people, they're going to find out pretty quickly and they're going to boot you. That's just how that works. But if you're getting great results for people and sell them heaps of product, well, they'll be mad to let you go. And that's what people will be judged on. They always will. So it doesn't matter how, flashy your lights are and you post every day about how good you are. It'll all come out in the wash at the end.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
So you've got like your big adventure stuff on that you want to do. Like what's as someone that's done so much shit, what's your bucket list stuff?
So much. These are places in Australia I haven't been before, but I'd like to incorporate some of the four-wheel driving and fishing together, like with the idea of going to really far-flung places that are hard to get to in order to catch a fish or to do something. And that's, I guess they're the things I actually do on my holidays. They're the stuff when the cameras get turned off. That's what I froth on, and I always have a trip in the back of my mind of something I'm going to do, and I just froth every day until I can do that trip. That's how that works. But I'd like I said, maybe film a couple of those sort of things down the track.
And so, of all the places that you've been thus far, like, what's some of your favourite trips in Australia, you reckon?
So there's so many.
Be like picking kids.
Yeah, man. Like, especially like back in the early days when we weren't as big, and you could get away with not breaking a few laws, but you didn't have to like
do everything so by the book.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we did this trip on the eastern side of Cape York where we basically went from Captain Billy's to Usher Point.
Yeah.
You got to across 5 saltwater creeks. There's no track. You go across headlands, and only when the tide is lower than 0.5 of a metre can you make it even through. And it took us 4 days to do 60 Ks. Like that, you have to sign up at the start of the trip. You could lose your vehicle. It might get bogged, and as soon as the tide comes in, that car is gone. See you later. So you got to be willing to lose a vehicle as well. And trips like that, I probably couldn't do that trip again because, whether we sort of got permission, but we sort of didn't. And these days we're too big to get away with that shit anymore. You can't just go and do that, or else you as soon as you get you get in strife for that sort of stuff, there's no coming back from it. So some of those adventures were epic, like just epic. We've been in a situation before in the Kimberley. Another time we literally ran out of food and had to like hunt animals to keep going. Like, we could have survived. We had tins of tuna and stuff, but there was a lot of free range beef walking around too. So, little things like that. There's always like little side adventures on the big trips that people see that they don't get to see. That some of the highlights of when we're really doing
when
an
you're
adventure.
actually doing it tough as well.
There's literally consequences for fucking up. Like, you can't just go, we'll just check into accommodation tonight and we'll all be sweet.
100%.
Yeah. So those things that gets me going. I just love that stuff. And we've been lucky enough to do some epic stuff. We've done some stuff through Arnhem Land.
Yeah.
That's just untouched up through there. Just heaps of epic adventures that we've got to do. There's some stand out, obviously. It's usually the stuff that happens behind the scenes off camera that, is just an absolute hoot that, you can't really film all of it.
Yeah.
But they go down to the memory bank as some pretty epic adventures.
So has forward driving in that sense been watered down a little bit these days, like with more laws and shit? Because like I remember my first times up to Cape York, that Jardine ferry wasn't there.
Yeah.
So like I've done twice. I've watched my dad ride a XR 600 across the Jardine River.
Jesus.
And then I remember I think it was my second trip up there, like when I was a kid. Like this is like childhood memories.
Yeah.
We got to the crossing at Jardine, and on a bike that lasts from like Fruitbat Falls to the Jardine River crossing is like some of the most fun fucking riding you can ever do on a bike. It's just deep sand, like perfect four-wheel drive tracks, and you get a whole group of bikes. But yeah, I remember pulling up there as a kid, and there was actually this Japanese dude. We called him Wally, and he'd ridden this like kind of adventure bike thing from back in the day from Melbourne and stopped at the Jardine, and he was like, I can't get across. So he was literally going to turn that close to the tip. He was going to turn around and go back home. So he ended up Dad rode his bike across, and like we're in the 60 series. My mum drove the 60 series and my dad rode the bike, and then he had like the whole other crew of bikes and that. So mum's driving this 60 series across with 3 kids, all in fucking car seats and colouring books and shit, like floating up. Sick. And then dad was riding a bunch of the bikes across. All the bikes got so fucked that we had to camp there for, it was either 1 or 2 nights we camped on the opposite side of the Jardine just because we couldn't get the bikes going.
Yeah.
And that was just one of like my standout memories, you know, but that's done now because there's just a ferry there.
That's
so
right.
like it's kind of watered down in that sense.
You'll never be able to replicate a Cape York trip like that. And it's becoming softer and softer as time goes on, which
it's good and bad.
Exactly, but you know, mostly bad. I think I like the adventure of it. Like the day you start getting wicked vans and shit up in Cape York, it's going to lose its edge for me, man. And like that's what's going to happen when it's all bitumen. And I get it needs to be a bit of progress, and there's still other spots that are really adventurous that you know.
Yeah.
But it is taking the adventure out of it. You speak to any old timer who's
old school, dude,
who's done those trips, and they're the first ones to tell you how it wasn't like this 30 years ago. And it wasn't. It was tough as nuts. And it was a goat track for most of it. Yeah. Like, even when I started going up there, like, there wasn't bridges on some of the crossings. You had to go through, like, drive through the Laura and stuff like that. There was no bridge. I remember the bridge was getting built as we're driving through the Laura. And if the water was a bit high, you waited out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These days, it is a heck of a lot easier.
Just a causeway and a bridge and,
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't have to... You can drive to the tip in a Commodore now. You literally can. You literally can. And I've seen it. I've seen Commodores up there, you know.
There's a lot of Commodores up there, actually.
That's right. I've towed a couple of through water crossings too. But yeah, it's changed, and that's the way it's going to go as well. But there's always going to be those side tracks.
Fringe, yeah.
And that's what keeps us going. Like there's so many, and if you can get access into some, privately owned or TO sort of places, shit, you can have a proper adventure.
Yeah. I actually saw we were going through some photos of the Cape, like those trips when we were younger.
Yeah.
You know, it's gotten way gnarlier is the fucking Pasco on the other side of that Pasco crossing. Like we saw photos just literally the other night at mum and dad's, and I was like, Dad's like, oh, that's the Pasco. I was like, fuck, that's it. It's like cooked now.
Yeah. And so many people giving it a go, just washes out, and then you get a wet season come in, all the rain just
and there's so many trees that's not a very open crossing either.
It's always every year you've got to go with a chainsaw when you're first up the pass, like up the Frenchman's, because all the trees will just block your way. It's pretty gnarly. Like the guys who do the Cape first, like the Telly track and the Frenchman's, all the iconics first of the season, like it'll take them days because they're chainsawing trees out of the way. They might have to get a shovel out and build tracks back up because they've literally washed away. And but if you go late in the season when a million other people have done it, it's pretty straightforward these days.
Do you think more and more people are trying to do those trips? Like, you've seen how many more people are up there?
Yeah. It's certainly more accessible now. Like, you can deck your car out with a fridge, dual battery. People are taking coffee machines in their cars now.
That's me.
Yeah, like the mod cons you can take with you. It's made it accessible for so many people to get out there and have a go. And as a result, and COVID as well, has just kept people in Australia, and so they're just exploring it, and heaps of people are checking out, which is cool. I think that's a real positive thing. I think that's really cool when families are doing their holidays in Australia, showing their kids Australia. I think it's cool. Yeah. So it's definitely changing. Like, give it another 20 years, and it'll be very different. Yeah. I'm seeing tracks, and you'll see this in the motorcycle, like dirt bike game. So many tracks are getting shut down left, right, and centre, and it's going to be a situation where the only shit you'll be able to do is on private property. Down the track, like,
and even that these days is gnarly. Like, especially for us, it's noise. Like you can't build. You can't build. Well, electric bikes. Well, that's what we were in Europe for. We actually rode like the Tesla of motocross. It was really fucking out of control. So that's going to change.
Weird,
yeah, it's going to change everything.
That'll be weird with four-wheel drives that are quiet.
Oh, dude, have you seen much of the Ford F-150?
Yeah, I've seen it.
That thing looks mint. Have you seen that?
That's a new electric one.
Yeah. Look that shit up, dude.
That's wild, eh? And there's a Hummer that I saw in the States, 1,000 horsepower.
Really?
Hummer. Yeah, it does like 0 to 100 in like 3 seconds, and it weighs like fucking 3 or 4 tons. It's amazing.
That's psych. Have you driven a Tesla?
Nah, I've been in a passenger as well.
Okay,
I've
so
never
you know
driven.
that feeling.
Yeah, it's odd. super quiet.
Dude, these things, this is a massive move for Ford. That's the number one selling car in America.
Wow.
And they now have an electric version of it. And it looks like, I've watched a bunch of reviews and shit. Dude, I'm fucking all in. If we end up getting to do the America thing with the studio, I'll just get one just to fucking be a nerd, because that to me is sick.
It's different, hey. I'd like to, don't get me wrong, I'd love to drive one. I think they'll actually go really well. There's a part of me, I just love old cars. Yeah. I love the
sound.
Yeah, man.
Glow light.
I love like Aussie muscle cars. Yeah. I love old four-wheel drives. I love anything that you've really got to steer, you know. But I'm a car head as well, and I just love I love new cars that come out, and I'd give that thing a steer.
Fucking oath, man. How's the front space in the thing?
Yeah, that's odd. There's no engine in there.
Massive, like that'll actually just change camping purely because it's the 240 volt capacity. Yeah. Well, so that thing's got outlets the whole way through it. So you could literally take your thermo mixers and fridges and fucking run it off that. I mean, if you're traveling though, like up Cape York and shit. But I mean, you wonder where solar's going to get to the point where they can charge on the go. That's
the big thing, I suppose, is getting that range, being able to do 1,000 Ks without plugging into some fancy charger.
Imagine Fruit Bat Falls with like a fucking Tesla charger stay, like a supercharger.
We laugh, bro, but it's going to be like...
That'll happen?
It'll happen in our lifetimes, which is kind of crazy, man.
The scary thing about the electric stuff is, like, I'm a decent rider.
Yeah,
like you're a decent four-wheel driver. You're not a fucking winning world championships at four-wheel driving.
Yeah,
but I got in this bike, and it just made me so much better.
Really, so it was
so much better. And you just got to think you'd know your limitations as a driver, and you'd know the car's limitations, and then so you go and add like this new tool like this, and there'll be ways that it'll just like elevate your driving and the experience, and that's where the argument of the to and the fro, like what you just said about the old cars to this new, people are going to get in them and just be able to fucking drive way better than they could before.
Without a doubt. You jump in like an old Aussie muscle car and drive it, and the thing's good in a straight line, but anything else, it's horrendous,
it's like
right?
Boat.
Yeah, and you think it's quick because you can hear the V8 engine and blah, but it's like my missus has got a Golf, and it would kill my Monaro, right? It would smoke it in every single way, like round corners, even on the straight, probably like a little GDI. I think it goes like a shower of shit, that thing, and but. It's just a feeling. That's all it is.
It's the vibe. It's the gist. It's the constitution.
On paper, it's definitely not a superior vehicle to anything modern. There's no doubt about it.
Oh man, 100%. But it'll be interesting to see what that particularly will do. I think they've got a noise feature, like you can actually turn on to make it sound like an F-150.
That's pretty sick.
So I think that might get some people across the line. But I was watching a video. I can't remember who did it. But they basically were at in Texas at an American car convention, and they were asking people about the electric car.
It'd be a tough crowd in Texas, maybe.
Yeah, and they were like, he was reading out reading out the spec sheet, and they were like, "Oh, I'd like a piece of that. That sounds like a great car." And they're like, "Well, it's electric," and they were all like, "Oh, I ain't getting electric."
Yeah, that's exactly the thing on paper, man. Like they make those electric engines make instant torque, like it's huge amounts of torque, like things that we can't comprehend with petrol or diesel, and so.
And it's always there.
Yeah,
no clutch,
just
no
linear,
gears.
just power on tap.
Find the Hummer. I want to see what that looks like.
It's crazy, man. Look at 1,000 horsepower. 1,000 horsepower.
That's a lot.
Like a vehicle that that's it.
We should see if there's any videos. I think. Fuck, that doesn't look that
it's
bad.
Okay, it's a proper big rig too, and like its stats are phenomenal.
Go to see if there's a YouTube or something, Rones. Here we go. Just turn the volume down. Oh, this is a fancy video. Did you just make this?
Nah. Does have a little bit more dirt on it.
Dude, that looks sick, eh?
Yeah. I think, don't quote me on that, but it's got like a couple of thousand Newton meters of torque.
Fuck.
And 1,000 horsepower, and at 0 to 60 in 1,000 horsepower, and at 0 to 60 in 3 and a bit seconds. Yeah, 11,000.
Wow. So what's the Dirty 30 got?
Okay, and it's no slouch, the old Dirty 30. It'd be close to 300 horsepower and probably nearly 1,000 Newton meters, which is a bit of a beast. And
not even in the same fucking conversation.
That thing could tow 4 of my Dirty 30s and still beat it.
While your Dirty 30s were all in reverse,
yeah,
trying to pull away from it.
And it would just smoke it all.
Dude, that is gnarly.
Yeah, I knew it was a couple of thousand, but I didn't think it... Yeah,
11,000.
That's...
Car's got 400.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, it's a nice Rubicon. That thing, nice little Jeep. Ranger's got himself a four-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's a go.
That is wild, dude. So would you try and take one of them four-wheel driving?
If someone gave me the keys to that, I'd be all over it,
You
mate.
make that happen over there, for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to have a steer to see what they're like. I'd imagine, because in four-wheel driving, low-down torque is where it's at. You could have 500 horsepower.
But if you can't put it to the ground.
Doesn't matter. And if it doesn't make torque early in the rev range, it's useless off-road. I've seen people come out with all these fancy rigs and that, but they don't make any power until 2,500 RPM, and you need power, from almost idle.
Yeah,
and, so that's why some of these old Hiluxes, like the little LN106s with 60 kilowatts, no shit, and they'll outdrive all these other things, because when you put them in low range, they don't have much, but what you do have is available
there
straight away.
Yeah.
And they'll, you start to sink, you just put your foot down and out it goes. And these other ones, you've got to spool it up before it gets to 2,500 RPM, and then it's
spinning,
and all of a sudden you're already stuck, and you're just revving the shit out of it and not going anywhere. So, but these things with the torque, so much of it, and probably instant.
Yeah. Oh, it would be, man.
Oh, geez,
dude, lots of air suspension and shit. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's...
Dude, we're living in the future.
This is... Yeah, okay.
Have you watched this video before?
No, I haven't.
This is psycho.
Yeah, you didn't even see... Oh, jeez.
God, what? All right, so we're just fucking nerding. For anyone that's just listening to the audio, we've got the GMC Hummer EV on YouTube. Oh, here we go. Crab walk. What's this?
Oh, rear steer. Yeah.
Oh, what? It can rear steer as well?
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Get fucked. Is this a real car? Or is this this has to be?
I've seen one. I've seen one in the States just recent, parked up.
Wow, dude. What a crazy vehicle.
It's off its head.
How do you make it? Because this is I guess one of the weird conversations about it. You've got the sustainability aspect of this whole project, where it's righto, we want to get away from fuels and shit. But so we were talking when we went to the Stark Varg. Show Shaun, just go into our vlog and fast forward into the bit where we're riding the bike, just to show what this thing looks like. But we were talking to the Anton, who's the CEO. He's like the Elon Musk of this company.
Yeah.
And we were talking about doing some longer projects and stuff, and he's like, well, we could probably put a small jet engine with some biofuel that would charge the battery. And I was just like, fuck, maybe, because the problem, this is this thing here. So this
is an electric bike.
Yeah, fully electric, and it is so much better than a regular dirt bike. It's out of control, and it's just in the most subtle kind of ways. But this thing, instant torque, instant power, no gear changes. The thing is just as good as a bike gets. And this was, I'd only done a few laps on this thing.
That's
man.
wild.
Yeah, and it was just so insanely good. So it's not even a fact of, because obviously the range is an issue for the electric vehicles.
Yeah.
But let's say that Hummer, right? That's just a really good car, a very capable, great off-road vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's how do we get those things to last? And maybe you'd have some kind of engine that's got biofuel that charges the battery, so you actually can four-wheel drive for long periods of time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where it'll go. And that's a cool thing. I'd hate to see the price tag of that Hummer, right? It's probably...
I wonder what it is worth.
It'll make our eyes water, I reckon, to see it. But I reckon that sort of technology in the near future is going to come down to your mum and dad four-wheel drives and it's just going to be out of control. Like,
what do you think cars are going to be able to do? Like, because are cars limited by performance in some places to where you need more out of a car than what you can?
Because it's the compromise, right? You just can't make a car that can do everything.
84,650 US.
That's
EV1. So that's the cheapest one. So starting at 84,600.
Oh yeah, but that's okay. I thought it was going to be like $1 million car.
No,
I thought it was out of control. Okay, righto. The future's here, eh?
So are you on that reservation list?
Nah,
it's only 110. So that's the available fall 2021. I wonder what. Wait, so just trying to figure out which one's the better one.
Yeah, there's probably one.
Because there's one that's available in 2021. Then you got 2022, and then you got but so that's the good one. That's got 1,000 horsepower and 11.5 foot-pound of torque.
What, up to 330 miles range? So what's that about? What, 500, 600 k's?
So what is it? 2.2 is pounds. It's
1.6.
Yeah.
So 500 and something, say, kilometres, which is probably better than I thought as well.
Decent day
for a big rig.
Yeah.
I reckon if you're using 1,000 horsepower, all of it,
you'd
chew through it a bit.
You'd go down.
But still.
And so, like, are there, like, because what you're looking at is tech here.
Yeah.
Like, there's cars are so mechanical in their form now. Like, the cars that you're in, it's not a lot of tech in there. You can talk about tech and suspension and things like that, but it's not like software.
No.
That's when shit gets gnarly, is when you got computers that do the things for you. You're not down to mechanical tech. Like, software tech is kind of where it's at. And I got that feeling when I rode the Stark of just like, Jesus Christ, like, this thing it just made me a better rider.
Yeah.
So it's like, you think about going into a four-wheel drive sense, it's like, what will you be able to do that you were limited to before?
Well, even that rear steer like that, I've seen that in competition trucks like buggies and shit that drive over gnarly big rocks. Like, you don't get that in normal vehicles, right? And you'll see a lot of that sort of stuff because you can't make a vehicle that performs really well off-road and really good on-road. There's this
like
compromise.
Medium,
So if it's better off-road, chances are it's shitter on-road. There's a compromise that you have to sort of have.
Driving to the four-wheel drive track with your car on a trailer.
Yeah, exactly. So if they can sort of make these things capable off-road and also they have on-road manners as well, like, it's going to be an animal. The only thing that concerns me, and this is every single Aussie's in the same boat, they're a bit reluctant to change when it comes to these things. You think, shit, when you're up in Cape York taking it through deep water crossings, there's dust all through it. Yeah. Are these things going to survive? Electric's going to just shut it down and you're not going to be able to pull out your little 12-piece spanner kit and go, all right, we'll just fix this up and be on our way. The thing is going to require a flatbed and a laptop plugged into the side of it to work out what's wrong with it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a catch-22. It's probably going to be super capable, but...
Well, that Stark, the bike, is waterproof.
Yeah, see, these things are...
It's psycho, dude.
You know what? They're probably going to be amazing things. Yeah. There's no two ways about it. It's going to change what we do and how we do it. I'd be super keen to have a crack, just to see what they're like. Like, I can, just say, they're not going to work real well in Cape York. But until you probably, we take a D-Max, which we've got a D-Max. It's a modern vehicle, lots of electronics and stuff on it. We've had the thing properly flooded. I mean, we once got this D-Max so fucking flooded. There was water up to Graham's chest. It had go into this fucking crazy limp mode. Windows started going up and down by themselves. We pulled the ECU out, put it on a fucking rock to dry.
With some rice.
Yeah, literally. If we had rice, we would have. We sat it on a rock and waited a couple of hours until it was dry, put it back together and drove off. And, like, this is a modern car. Everyone goes, you can't take a modern car up there because they'll shit themselves. Well, not really. We've taken it up many times and proper fucked it, and it still keeps going. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You just got to get your head around it, I think, the biggest thing to start with. And just, have a bit of an open mind because, you're probably right. These things would probably be off tap.
Anything else that stands out to you on that little list?
Yeah.
0 to 16, 3.3 seconds. Fucking heavy.
That's wild.
You got to drive a Tesla. You should just rent one for a day.
Yeah, I should, just to get my head around how that all works and
feel the control and stuff. We shout out to this dude Nathan. We shot an intro for our Stark video, so we drove a Tesla because I'd never driven one.
Yeah,
and got in the thing. It's all the stuff you don't even really think of either. Like you don't really have to just city driving on a Tesla. You just don't have to use the brakes. So like you drive that throttle. And then let's say you're coming up to a roundabout and you got to give way, and then you might stop. You literally just take your foot off the pedal, and it's just got engine braking that'll roll to a stop. There's no like gears in the car that will keep going. So you set the engine brake, and then you just roll up to your stop sign or your give way or your traffic light. I literally didn't use the brakes one time driving from where I picked the car up to the studio, and then we fitted we put the red and shit inside it, and then we went and drove. It wasn't until I was doing like fucking 240 k's an hour that I actually used the brakes.
Fuck. See that even my head's not there yet because I haven't experienced anything.
You should just go drive one.
I'm so used to old cars where you've got to hope the brake works because you need every bit of that. You got to pump it a few times before you want to use it in anger. I just got to check it out because like that whole thing of just it drives itself it probably does a way better job of like than most people driving. Like,
oh, for sure. And I just think that there's all these little I'd be super interested to like get, especially if you could get your hands on one of these things. I wonder if like Hummer in Australia is bringing them in.
It'd be super cool. If they do, I'll put my hand up.
But yeah, there's probably just so many things where you're like, I could never do that in a four-wheel drive. Like I've always looked at that and I've never been able to do it, or obviously there's give and take. It's early, it's 500 k's range, but it's like that if you could take it there just purely as a four-wheel drive nerd of like, what can this do?
I'll take a trailer with a generator and a bit of fuel and we'll make it work. I'd like to take one to Cape York and do all those things that you might be a bit apprehensive, like can it go through deep water, can it do this, like, because you're probably right, they're probably sealed motors and they will do extremely well, way better than your old shit boxes through those sort of terrains. So we'll have to give it a go. It'll be super popular. I think everyone probably wants to know how these things will go. We just haven't seen enough evidence of what they can do off-road. Yeah, it's coming. And then you got like the Tesla truck too, which that Cybertruck, that looks pretty loose. It's a whole new thing. But yeah, brave new world, eh?
I definitely don't think you're going to run out of content to make.
That's it. And that's about evolving, I suppose, what we do, hey? Yeah, there's even dudes doing like those like EV conversions on like old cars. Right. There's this like,
there you go, there's a build for you.
Yeah, imagine that, turning like the old farm truck into an EV or something.
Dude, imagine that. That would be sick.
Driving this old car around that's super quiet. It's got 1,000 horsepower or whatever. That's off its head, eh?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fuck yeah, that's mental.
People are doing these conversions, so you still get the stylish look of an old cool car, but yeah, look,
that's
there you go.
Wild.
There's my farm truck, an EV.
Converting classics to electric. That is so cool, dude.
Wow. That's got to give me a couple of ideas.
That'll put a horn on a jellyfish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously doable.
Yeah. It's happening.
So I wonder what are people running in this thing?
Just like a big old
What's that one there? The go left reins? That one there.
Oh yeah.
So that looks like
that's the
crate motor, electric car.
Yeah.
Bang, click into that.
So it even made it look like a real motor.
Yeah. Fuck, that's cool, eh?
Yeah. Actually is really cool.
There you go. There's your next farm truck build.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine, that'd be super cool to do.
I wonder how many of those are. Oh, there you go. Tesla crate motor. Go to EV West unveils Tesla crate motor. There you go. Click into the actual website. See what that's all about. EV conversion. One-stop shop EV West has announced a new Tesla crate motor kit designed to convert V8 muscle cars to EVs. The drop-in package consists of a complete Tesla drive unit, including inverter and mounting brackets. Our new Revolt Tesla crate motor allows crate motor mounts to your small block motor mounts and attaches directly to your drive shaft, allowing you to use your existing rear axle. Gee. Wow. This is a whole thing.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Fuck. What car would you do it on? the oldest, shittiest one that you could.
Yeah.
Put like the Tesla iPad screen in there and shit as well.
Imagine that.
Fuck, that'd be cool.
That'd be pretty wild. I certainly wouldn't do it to my Monaro. You couldn't change a muscle car. That's the whole...
You'd actually get deported.
Yeah, fair enough too.
You'd fully get
fair
deported.
enough. They should take it off you if you're going to do that. And yeah, I'd imagine just like an 80 series or something that's quite capable off-road and you've got an electric motor in it. That'd just be off its head. It'd be wild. I guess my brain's never really gone there over the years, but it'd probably do everything I want to do, but better.
Yeah, just the range would be
that would hold me back. I wouldn't be able to do some of the trips I do, but for the local ones and stuff, you just unbelievable.
Well, we'll have to do a trip. I reckon I've kept you in here for 3 hours,
man.
mate. So we'll let you get out of here and get back to crushing it at the 4-wheel drive world. But we'll do a trip or something at some point. Hey, offers there if you want to come do the Cape.
Oh man, if I could get half a chance, I'd be all over it. I mean,
what dates? I think we're doing end of August, early September.
I'll be at the Melbourne 4-wheel drive show, and I'm going to be in Tasmania. I think in the early part of that month, or the late part. I never know. I never look at my schedule.
Have you got someone that does your schedule?
Yeah, and it's all on Google calendars.
How's that go?
Yeah, I just don't look at it because
that's the dream. That's my next step. I want to be there.
Because I like when I come home, it's like pretty sacred to come home, and I'm like stoked. And I always think I'm going to be home for ages. So instead of looking at the dates when I have to leave again, I just put that out of my mind, and then I usually have to like get a car ready the night before I'm going to Tasmania or the high country. So I never know what I'm doing, but it'd be super cool. Imagine that riding. I'd love to do that. I'd be so out of my comfort zone.
Man. Just tick it off.
And like you're saying, do it with your family, do it with your dad, your brother. That'd be off its head.
Man, that's my screen. I've probably got 1,000 messages. Hang on. Yeah, that's my wallpaper. Yes. It's just like my favourite photo, man. It's just me, my dad, and my brother up standing at the sign, and we've been there a bunch of times. And that's fucking me.
That's
like, I love that. Love that photo.
That's cool. That's what it's all about, man. Making memories like that. That's what it's about.
Well, let's do a trip at some point. If it's not Cape York, you're welcome on any one of the trips. And
I can show you boys how to ride if you like.
I'd love to, man. I need all the help I can get. But no, I appreciate it. Like I said before too, I don't have that many people that I talk to on this level, and you've got a great company, and you guys have been doing a lot of great shit for a really long time. So for me to get pick your brain and talk about content and all that sort of stuff,
I love it too.
It's cool.
It's always good fun. Yeah. Cool, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, eh?
No dramas.
It's been heaps of fun. I can't believe it's been 3 hours or whatever it's been.
Yeah, it goes quick,
It's wild.
Yeah, I told you to mark a few hours.
I didn't know if I would be able to sit down for that long, to be honest. I thought I'd get restless.
Lock up.
Yeah, I've never been. I don't think I've sat down unless I'm in a driver's seat for this long. But it's been fun. That's why. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Well, yeah. Cool. First one, you're done. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.